There you go. Y'all infidels were burning witches tonight. Not even Smokey the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
Someone in the comments picked him with a band-aid. That was good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I gotta maintain some level of like, making sure that you're in a good place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appeal to the casuals.
That's about it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or laziness. It's like, we'll just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fictionless and we'll just use new.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you.
Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
And the mom shaming, a term typically used to highlight harsh judgment of birthing people.
Fuck these stupid fucking
Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit?
Road.
I
Yes,
am a
ladies and
Native American.
Okay, so let's get all the jokes out of the way first. I want to say that the writers on this series went off the reservation. Clearly, this show did not have a leg to stand on, and any kind of criticism has fallen on deaf ears.
Hit him.
Get out of here, everybody.
Yeah, right? Exclamation.
It's over. Go home.
I thought this show sounded like a bad idea from the beginning. So, I mean,
Well, I have to. The night's finally here, ladies and gentlemen. We have been hyping this up here for what, 7 months now?
ECHOMANIA.
So we have to give you guys a little bit of an insight here. We are finally here. It is episode 82 of the Ballroom Podcast. And yes, it is ECHOMANIA. We have thrown away all of the headlines for tonight. We're going to focus on the entire show reviewing Echo because Disney threw it out there in one night. So why not review it all in one night? For those of you guys who are just now joining us here, who may not understand how we got to this point and why we're doing this here, we have essentially been hyping up Echo unironically for legitimately 7 months. We've been super excited about this show for all the wrong reasons, and I'm glad that you guys are here to join me here tonight to celebrate this night that is finally upon us. We finally get to talk about the greatest one-legged Native American, deaf, possibly lesbian superhero of all time, and it is Echo. And to join me here for tonight's show, we got a good cast of people joining us once again. A lot of new faces here. So a good buddy, Culture Casino, is joining. I think this is your second appearance here on the Barroom Podcast. How you doing today, Culture?
I'm good. I've been on your channel 3 times or more. I don't know, but this is the second time on the Barcast. I'm excited to be here, and yeah, I brought my beard.
Oh yeah, you got a whole bunch of beard for it.
Beard.
Face smirking.
That's what Tim Allen wore in the Sound Calls. You can't fool us. Also joining us here tonight is our good buddy Cider. How you doing tonight, Cider?
I'm high. I mean, hello.
Well, at least you're honest.
How
about
else
it.
were you gonna get through this show?
I was gonna actually say, yeah, it'd be weird if you were sober for this show. Like of
Yeah,
all the
right.
shows to be sober for, you picked this one.
Nope.
It's like-
Hold up.
Also joining us here tonight is our editor extraordinaire, Miss Spencer Broccoli.
Miss?
Hey.
Spencer Broccoli.
Respect
Broccoli.
my gender, all right? Did you learn nothing from this show? This is about identity
No.
and representation. That's what we're here about tonight. So you know what?
And-
10 out of 10. Echo is fresh. I'm so excited for this new chapter in the MCU. We're
Fresh out of
finally
the garbage bin.
Wait a minute. Wait a moment.
fresh into it.
Let me step back in time. Cider, you're high?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm goodbye.
What?
Wait.
I'm low.
That's a dad joke, okay?
It
We're not licensed for
absolutely
that,
was.
Spencer.
I'm
We're
not.
licensed
I'm not.
for
It was an illegal dad joke.
that. It was an illegal dad joke.
And then making his barroom debut here on the show tonight. You guys know him from his channel on Co-op Comics Division. Our good buddy Ian is joining us here tonight. How you doing today?
Doing good, Jacob. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, and I'm definitely excited for this show here. Like I said, I know this sounds like a joke from the outside looking in. We've legitimately been hyping this up for like several months, like at least since like last summer. And then they kept pushing it back, and it's like, when are we ever going to get Echo? And it was like, we finally got it. It took us till 2024 to get all 5 episodes, even though there was originally supposed to be 8, but we finally got all 5 in one
we got to talk about that. There's no way.
Yeah, ever
Oh,
since
yeah.
they made the announcement that they're dropping it all at once, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a massive turd.
Oh yeah. That's like the death sentence for a streaming
Yeah.
service these days. Is like here, unless you're Netflix, which is what
they
should
wanted
do
to flush
anyway.
the show down the memory
Yeah.
hole so fast.
Well, they forced it down some kind of hole. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started here, give a quick shout out to everyone joining us here in the chat right now. As you see, Spencer was here very, very early, excited for Echo Mania here tonight. Duke Nukem joining us here saying Echo Lamia, so I don't think
Yes.
he's very
Duke
excited
Nukem.
as much as us. Echo is just a MCU cash grab about a lame, uninspired C-level character. How dare you, sir? How absolutely dare you?
I don't know. There was some inspiration here.
Yeah, she's at least B-list. Come on now. But Neozoic here is hey, everybody. Howdy, barroom crew and good folks in the chat. Fun question for y'all involved. Which dystopian novel would you rather read? 1984 or Brave New World? Aren't they basically the same book at this point?
Why would I read what I'm already living, man?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I need
well, we
escapism
live in a
here.
weird hybrid, which is kind of like an intersection of all these dystopian novels
Yeah.
between, obviously 1984, Brave New World. God, I'm trying to remember the name of that Phil K. Dick short story. Harrison Bergeron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of Harrison Bergeron going on too.
And we're also mixing in a little Hunger Games here and there for a good
Yeah.
measure.
All right, and then he has a bonus question for us here. It says, which filmography would you rather watch, Roland Emmerich or Michael Bay? Ooh.
Michael, because at least it's more visually interesting.
Try to remember, did Emmerich do was it
He did.
That's
Independence
a really
Day?
tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
he
good
did Independence Day. He did Godzilla. He did Geostorm, right? Right, Jacob? Was that him?
He did
Yeah,
the worst
that was
Oh
him.
God,
Godzilla.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember who has a better catalog. I'm gonna have to go with Michael Bay at this point.
Yeah,
I
visually.
mean, I
Honestly,
like
I'm gonna have to
Independence
go
Day,
with Michael
but
Bay too.
I would
See,
probably have to go with him.
I have a
Geostorm
lot of
so
issues
much,
with
but
Michael Bay,
everything
but
else just-
he at least did Bad Boys and The Rock.
I go with Michael Bay
Transformers
for
movie.
a little different reason than the rest of you guys, not because of the explosions or the butt shots, but because of the open-faced racism. I've just never seen like a movie director to just be so openly hateful to other, like mocking and hateful to other people, man. I love it. It's hilarious to me when those two goofy Transformers with the gold teeth start racisming at each other. It's hilarious.
How about that?
Cider, what were we talking? What were we talking about on Wednesday? Where we were like, how did nobody like catch this in a movie, or like it was like a Kevin Feige thing? I don't remember, but that happens more often than like we like to admit, or rather, it happens more often from the people who chastise us than it happens from us. You know what I mean?
We were talking
What are you
about
talking
the
about?
people...
He's just trying to make the movie more relatable to black people. I mean, what are your thoughts about that, Jacob?
I love black people. Show me the money.
If Michael Bay wants to make the film more relatable to black people, he should put more white women in the movie. That's my stance.
My favorite new Hollywood conspiracy is that Megan Fox is trans and Michael Bay paid for it.
What?
That's my favorite new conspiracy going out right
Never
now.
heard that one.
I mean, I would believe trans toe thumb, but I don't know about the rest of that.
Right. I feel like maybe she blew that off with a firework, and then they had to get like a surgery.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the rest of it.
Both thumbs. Yeah.
Who else do we got here? It says Marvel needs to get their shit together and appeal to Twitter mods. Yeah, exactly right. Vanya's joining us here in the chat tonight. We also got Alex versus Evil joining us here. Doba Fett joining us tonight. Duke over here crapping all over my beautiful intro. That was an awesome intro.
I love the intro.
To say.
How dare you?
The 8-bit intro is great. By the way, it makes it so much
better.
That
actually
better.
Did work out well. That did.
It
work
really
out
is
well.
because it reminded me of the shit flute. You remember the shit flute when they were playing the recorder, trying to make it sound like really good? And so the 8-bit thing was like this half measure of the American song, right? And all I could hear was like that kid with the recorder trying to make the "I'm a Real American" song.
Have you ever seen the video of the kid trying to play Daru Sandstorm on a recorder?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's painful, but I love it.
I don't care what mood you're in. That always puts me in a good mood when I listen to that. Bad Take Bojan joining us here tonight.
Tina!
Eddie Brock. This song is too good for it's so good. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, an intro show or the ECHOMANIA theme. Each one good. What you gonna do, brother? Well, let me tell you something, brother. We're gonna get to him in a second here too. Kate's joining us here from last night as well. Duke says you got Gandalf on the show. It's like, no, he doesn't have the staff, or their beard's not really wide enough to be Gandalf there.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Getting old.
Ayo, let's go. Who else do we got joining us here? Tactics Jones saying win insider not high. Very good point there for that one. Our good buddy John joining us here tonight. John, you need to come back on the show one of these nights. You need to see you one day. So it's been a while since it's been John. Kay said this isn't even black pilling to me. This is freaking hilarious. I'm here to laugh at the MCU. Yeah, I think we're all here for that tonight. Hooper joining us here said, "What's good, everyone? Echo looks like the shittiest show in years. Great news, Disney. No more Daisy Ridley movie for that crazy Indian director. We'll see. I did hear about that story, but I didn't hear if that was absolutely confirmed or not. But I mean,
I'm going with a rumor at this point because even it's pretty funny because Gizmodo released an article saying, "Oh no, there's nothing to see here. This is all fake news," and
it's totally happening. Everybody,
Disney has a track record of quietly canceling movies, like the Ryan Johnson trilogy, the Dan and Dave movie, and of course there's Patty Jenkins.
That was a trilogy too. Game of Thrones.
Donald Glover's career.
Yeah, Don Glover's career. Yeah, I mean, all these things. So only time will tell. Either which way, it's a win for us.
Yep. Like I said, I still don't know why they're even doing this to begin with, but that's a whole nother conversation for another
We know.
day. Alex versus Evil said ECHOMANIA is gonna run wild on you, brother. Doba Fett saying Michael Bay easy thinks that Emmerich's a terrible filmmaker. I can't really disagree with that. If you've seen 2012 recently, that film is
like we all admit that I guess like ID4 was just like a fluke, right? Or like that was his one like good like great thing, because I don't know anybody who genuinely has disdain for that movie, but every other movie you bring up about Roland Emmerich and it'll start a debate for hours. Like we could turn this into Emmerich mania.
Yeah.
I tried to make an argument. I'll do it another time.
I'm trying to remember what else he's done I actually liked besides ID4, but
Right? I'm like so hard pressed with you. Oh, Day After Tomorrow is fun. It's not great, but it's fun. Like I like that movie.
Yeah, fair enough. That's about. Kate says that our intro had better editing than the actual show did. You damn right it did.
Oh man, did it? Oh gosh.
He made the worst Godzilla movie. And the worst film about disaster 2012, and then the second worst film about disaster, The Day After Tomorrow, and then the third.
He also made The Patriot.
And the third worst disaster movie, Moonfall, and then the inferior Independence Day in 2016. He did not make very much good.
No, not at all.
He got he got really lucky.
So I just recently stumbled upon Ben Affleck's commentary on Armageddon. And there's one scene he's talking about how Michael Bay just doesn't understand that why would NASA train oil drillers to be astronauts instead of astronauts to be oil drillers? And he's like, what's so hard about running a drill? You point the drill at the ground, you turn it on. It's like,
It's like, all right.
In the background, they've got this scene of Bruce Willis who's just tearing apart the NASA guys about their drill. And he's like, it's really funny. Ben Affleck says, it's really funny. They could build rockets, but they have no idea what makes a good tranny. It's just...
You know, the funny thing is I didn't realize that he directed some Stargate Atlantis as well.
Yeah.
And look, you can give him a hard time about that. But I mean, you know, just because astronauts are almost always engineers of some sort, of course, they don't understand how hydraulic pressure or any of that other stuff. So no,
that's right. He wrote for Stargate too, like the original movie.
Yeah,
well,
that's how he got
was,
his like big, or that was his like breakout, if you will.
Yeah, that was like the best movie.
Yeah, I mean his Stargate stuff is pretty solid, I'd say.
He's good at set pieces. He's like Zack Snyder. He's good at set pieces. But don't ask him how you're going to get from like point A to point B.
And you know what?
Will not be able to know.
But Spencer, he lights them better because Snyder is saving money by not lighting anything because he's going to put the rest of that money in his pocket. Freaking.
And leaving things out of focus.
Rebel moon eclipse? Yeah, seriously.
I don't know. They got to pay for 17 Instagram filters on every frame of that movie. I don't know, man. Like, that's a lot of, you know.
There's got to be like 10% going back to Disney too to like keep the lawyers at bay, because goodness, that is like it's just Star Wars.
Speaking of just Star Wars, we haven't even started on our ECHOMANIA yet.
True.
We've been on Roland Mania
because we're looking for anything else to talk about than Echo.
And you're not gonna get out of it. Neozoic said he heard a rumor that Ironheart is canceled. That's been a rumor for like a year now that show's pretty much dead. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at that point if they just pulled the plug on that one.
Also, Alakwa Cox is not going to talk about Echo, so why should we?
Keep going. We need a counter. That's like 5. That's number 5.
All right, then. So let's go ahead. Oh, actually, one more thing I wanted to mention before we get into ECHOMANIA. I know we're teasing this a bit, but I did bring this up because it's ECHOMANIA, which is obviously a play of Hulkamania. Did anyone hear the story about Hulk Hogan that happened this week, where Hulk Hogan literally saved a woman from a bad car accident? And the whole thumbline here, the whole title here is absolutely perfect. It's like, imagine being in your car that just overturned in a major accident. You're disoriented, wondering if this is the end. You turn to your left, and here comes Hollywood Hogan in an NWO shirt saying, "Give me your hand, brother." It's like, can you imagine just being in the mindset of you're thinking that you're about to die, and all of a sudden Hulk Hogan comes out to save you? I
would just accept that I was dead. Like I would just be like, oh, Hulk Hogan is here saying like, "Give me your hand, brother." I've already died. Like, this is heaven. My brain is shutting down.
Well, it's not Macho Man Randy Savage showing up. I mean, come on. I mean, at least Hulk Hogan's still alive.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Macho Man, you're right. You're screwed.
Macho Man gave his life to save us from 2012.
I'm never going to forget this, and it didn't even happen to me. Yes, it's amazing. Like just think about this for a minute, right? Like you're in a car accident, and Hulk Hogan is the one pulling you from the wreckage. Like, just conceptualize that for a minute.
And all the legal documents and stuff from there on out. Like, if there's a lawsuit, you have to call Hogan. If somebody gives a statement, it'll have Hogan's name on it. Like, that's awesome.
I'm framing that, right? Like,
yeah,
the
that's
police
I was just
report
about to say
Hulk Hogan
collector's
saving
item.
my life. That's getting framed over my fireplace. I'm going to tell my grandkids about that.
Yeah. Look, you can have Hulk Hogan at your death. You can have Macho Man Randy Savage at your death. The one person you don't want to see is Chris Benoit, because that's how you know that you're definitely going to hell if he shows up to your rescue there. Who else here? It says Disney will have to keep kicking the can on other shows. Yeah, it's pretty much where we're at right now. So yeah, I just want to bring up this story. I just found that very, very humorous. That good guy Hulk Hogan saves a woman from a car wreck. So I mean, what more can you ask for that? Outside of a solid Disney Plus show, which is not what we got, and that's what we're talking about. ECHOMANIA here tonight.
No. When was the last time? Have we ever gotten a solid Disney Plus show?
Not really.
I'm gonna be honest with you. The only one that I haven't hated yet up to this point is Hawkeye. I think Hawkeye by default is kind of like the best Disney Plus show that we've got.
I don't know, dude, because Disney Plus, or excuse me, not Disney Plus, but Hawkeye is directly responsible for this damn Echo show.
Yeah, I know.
And they also made Wilson Fisk bitch made at the end of it, and of course they
again for the second time.
Yeah.
Well, now we got the third time. Aren't the third time's
Oh
the charm?
no, this is the second time. Second time is the Echo
Echo
show. The first one's an Hawkeye.
Okay. Gotcha,
So look,
okay.
we got plenty of time to talk
I
about
Hawkeye
the
because-
power of friendship and Native American hocus pocus and all that good stuff. But let's get with
Even though my
the
wife's
intro
in
here.
Oh gosh.
Oh god, that's the other. Let's not talk about him. So yeah, here we are with ECHOMANIA. And we've been literally memeing the crap out of this show for months. Like I said, they literally gave an 8-episode series to a woman who has quite literally never acted in her entire life. When she was in Hawkeye, that show from a couple of years ago, that was the only acting credit she's ever had in her entire life.
But Jacob, to be fair, she literally checks all the boxes.
Oh my god.
That's the reason why they gave her a job.
That's the most important thing about
it
it.
actually kind of is, or not kind of, that is the reason she has this show, because
it is the
they
reason.
went, ooh, representation shiny, and then that's kind of all they focused on, as we'll get into. Because
Well, I mean, they're so focused on, the representation, Native Americans, hard of hearing people, American Sign Language, that they completely forgot to put in an actual story for the show. So, but that's kind of everything else.
You got your representation.
Boxes, guys.
You're on screen. Like, I don't know, and I we'll get into it. Keep going, Jacob.
but this is the problem here. So their whole mindset is that we have a one-legged, deaf Native American, possibly lesbian woman as a superhero, as the front runner for our show. So we have to get an actual one-legged Native American deaf girl to play this one. So I guess
that's possibly lesbian.
I think the missing leg was a bonus because Echo in the comic wasn't missing a leg. Yeah.
No. But
I think it was like a moment. It was like serendipity. Like, look, we have an opportunity. Like,
she's Native American, deaf, and missing a leg.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you see, what happened is that they're trying to up the disability points for their diversity quota. So it's not enough just to be deaf. She has to be deaf and have one leg as well. So
and Native American.
I guess we should all be happy that they didn't actually chop a girl's leg off just so she can be in this television show, because that would be awful and weird. But that did not happen. But they's like, oh yeah, we'll get this super progressive character on here, and then we'll get a trans Native American director to direct 4 out of the 5 episodes of this series, and let this be it/baby. And then this is how we got Echo. This is a show that was supposed to be 8 episodes on Disney Plus. I think they immediately realized how much of a terrible idea that was, cut it down to 6, and then in the process of putting the show together, they realized they didn't have enough material for 6 episodes, and then it comes down to 5. Then all of a sudden they were like, we're releasing it all at once. There's no week.
Well, you're also missing a step, which is fair because it's not a confirmed one, but it's one that I always make sure to bring up when we talk about Echo, which is at one point this show was shelved. It was completely taken off of Marvel's release schedule. They said we're not doing it. But then the strikes happened, all the Hollywood strikes. So the whispers on the streets right now is that this show was only brought back because Marvel needed something to fill their schedule gap. Right?
Well, they have gaping holes. I mean,
I don't know if I necessarily buy that, Spencer. Sorry, Cider. I know you have.
No.
I don't buy it because they announced the dump before the strikes happened. Right? They announced it back in
But I think that's because
April, June.
Let's see.
I want to say it was after Dallas. It was like around June when they basically said that they're going to go and dump everything all at once. So this is before the strikes were even a thing. Sorry, Cider. Go ahead.
I just have a question. They couldn't get a director to do 5 out of 5 episodes? Wow.
Well, like I said, it was supposed to be an 8-episode series, and I got cut to shit, and then it got cut from 6 to 5. So I don't even know how many episodes this person was actually involved in before we end up getting what we got.
So there's a Snyder cut of Echo?
Yeah, can you imagine how bad it is if you saw all 8 episodes?
Okay, but you look excited about that, Cider, and you shouldn't be.
Well, hold on. I'm a guy that watches traffic accident footage when I'm bored. Okay, so yeah, no, this is great for me.
Okay, well, the first episode's right up your alley. Because there's a lot of
accident,
and it just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, that was a mid-90s Ford Explorer Eddie Bauer edition, sidewinding a sedan. That's impressive.
Well, first of all, hey Rick, don't say anything, and then first let's go and get to this first article that I want to read right here.
Wait,
now, Rick, did you actually watch the show, or are you just jumping in?
Yeah, let's give Rick his 2 seconds of fame. How you doing, Rick?
I'm fine. I saw all 5. I even had to get Disney Plus to do this. So,
excellent.
Are the true heroes?
Yes,
commits to the bit.
Okay, so we're going to read an article now.
Just real quick, this is going to give you the idea of the mentality that went into this series before we discuss it here. This is director Sidney Freeland, who is a Navajo filmmaker who was essentially given the what's the chick from She-Hulk who ran that series?
Gal.
Yeah, her. So she's basically the Jessica Gal of this series here. So you go on just reading just a little bit here, and this is how they essentially propped up the show here. It's like halfway through the 5th episode of Echo, viewers are dropped into the experience of the Choctaw, and I'm just gonna call it Choctaw because I'm not good at pronouncing names. Nation here, and a powwow, and this is the first of its kind moment for the MCU, featuring dancers singing with drum-driven music and a poorly lit bar nearby.
That's all they can point to is the representation.
Maya Lopez in a face-off alongside the women of her family against the notorious New York kingpin Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio here. And then he says that Freeland pitched the moment to Kevin Feige by recalling how she grew up in Marvel comics and attending powwows. And this is what this said. This is what Sidney says here. I read the comments at powwows for sure. I'd probably fallen asleep reading comic books at powwows. Those two things never overlapped. So to have these things come together, to have Kingpin at a powwow, it's very a surreal experience. So what you're seeing here already is that even in this completely chopped up, butchered series, this is still basically a self-insert. Like this is essentially what it is.
Massively.
Like,
yeah.
This is my personal experience, and now I'm going to display my personal experience with my with the television show that Kevin Feige let me wrote. And I feel like Feige is not getting enough heat for this television shows at the moment because this is all on him. Apparently, he's just letting people do whatever the hell they want, and they're not very good at it. But
we got to talk about that Rick and Morty to Marvel pipeline someday. I'm doing an expose. Like I'm hitting the streets because I got to know what's going on there.
Did this person? Okay, I'm gonna actually legitimately freak out if this person actually did an episode of Rick and Morty. If I go to this person's IMDb and I see one episode of Rick and Morty on here, I'm ending this show. I swear to God.
We're talking about Sidney
Freeland. Yeah.
She didn't do in any Rick and Morty, but I know she did Star Trek Strange New World, so that's almost as bad.
Okay.
Did she?
Apparently
one episode of Strange New World.
Apparently, Sydney has done multiple episodes of like Walking Dead spinoffs or whatever, but I mean, that's essentially what it is here. There was one more point I was going to get. So yeah, they propped this whole thing up on Native American representation and the fact that this is the MCU's first openly transgender director and someone who comes out of a prestigious Fulbright program, along with a whole bunch of like other people who are completely irrelevant to the show. But this is all they had to hype up this show. Is that it's Native American and it's Native American and that's what they wanted you
I am a Native American.
Oh, and let's not forget that they were trying to push the cameo angle too with Daredevil. It's like he already showed us everything that he was going to do.
Not just Daredevil. She came out and she came out and she was like, "There's gonna be Marvel. Well, not just Hawkeye and Daredevil, but before the show dropped, she Freeland came out and was like, "There's going to be cameos. Like, don't worry, you're going to see Marvel faces. Literally 2 in the first episode, and that's it." Like, good gosh.
But they did that on purpose. I mean, because
of course they did. 100%.
Yeah, there was jack all reason to watch this.
Well, they're trying to throw up hype for a show that nobody gave a shit about.
Well,
Scott, you had to throw anything out there.
Let me add one more thing to that. Not only did you do all of that for those reasons, but this is not supposed to be tied to the MCU, especially the regular shows or the films, and yet they.
Well, Marvel Spotlight is the dumping ground.
It is
for shit shows.
It is what Chris
Literal
Gore calls
shit shows.
Yeah, it's what Chris Gore calls Marvel Sparkle. So, and I agree.
Marvel Sparkle.
So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's talk about the first episode of Echo here.
Echo.
And I know,
Echo.
right? Almost like I forgot the name of the show, but
Echo.
this just goes to show you right here how little they had with this entire series, because this is the longest of the 5 episodes, the very first episode, which is essentially the introduction to this character. And I'm not sure if you guys picked up on this. About half of this episode is actually chopped up bits from Hawkeye and
Yes.
another series put it together, because when I saw it, when I was sitting here watching, I'm looking like, this is actually just shot for shot stuff that they took out of like the Hawkeye series. So they didn't even actually do this exclusively like for the show. This is all stuff from other series.
Okay, I didn't watch Hawkeye. Was that shot of him in the diner? Was that from Hawkeye?
There was a
Or was
few
that
of them
new?
that was.
I don't remember everything, but yeah, there was a lot of footage from the Hawkeye series.
Now,
I knew there
this
was
is
a
the-
lot, but yeah.
Well,
And
this is the thing, because I didn't see Hawkeye.
you didn't miss
yeah, me
anything.
neither.
I did. I had the same reaction that I did when I saw the first Thor. What's Jeremy Renner doing in this? And it's like, why is he here?
Not cartwheels.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So
no.
we start off episode 1, what I like to call it Native American hocus pocus, right? So this is essentially.
I'm
gonna
no
spell on
this.
you.
I'm going to do this one more time. This is Showgirls.
But wait, why does she have Thanos chin? Why does she have Thanos chin? I don't.
Well,
why? Why is there Thanos chin there?
They're sparkly gold people, dude.
Well, okay. And the other thing too, apparently they're trying to use like the Choctaw like origin, which I mean I know a few people that are Choctaw, and this is like nothing close to what they had.
Yeah, they're like, no, man.
The funny thing is that they basically said, "Oh, we spent all this time. We want to make sure that this is going to be accurate and Native Americans and blah blah blah." And a lot of it they fucking bastardized.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
legit.
it's strange for me to watch Shafa, the name of the episode, only because Shafa in Spanish slang means cheap. I don't
Oh,
know.
well,
No, well, that's about accurate.
I'm just
That's-
looking at this, and I just want to suppress giggles.
Well, okay. Well, you suppress giggles because this chick's name is actually Chafa. Just so you know.
I didn't suppress it well.
Yeah.
But this is
She
how
may
we're.
be cheap, but is she easy?
Oh gosh.
So this is how we're introduced. So here to the origin, and the only reason why they're giving you this origin is that they're trying to explain how Echo gets this power that you don't see until like literally the last 5 minutes of the 5th episode of this series. So because this is all leading up to that one moment that they thought was going to be, oh my god, they're going to love this. Like, you know how the studio executives are sitting in the room and they're putting things together, and they think, oh, the fans are going to love this part. And
Well,
they thought
we-
that.
We did get little bits in episode 2.
What?
of
They're kind of right. We loved it for all the wrong reasons, though, because of how
But like
bad
that,
it was.
that was it, Rick. They based this entire thing on, oh, Echo's gonna get powers. Look at her hands. She uses it once to like move the train in episode 2, and then nothing about it until the 5th episode.
Well,
Like,
a lot of
My
things.
grandmother and I got
things will
magic
get
powers.
dropped. A lot of things will get dropped during the run of this 5 episode series.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So let me ask you guys
I
this.
mean, we
because-
start off weird. We start off weird with the cold open where she's like shot, and it's like, where did that come from? Like,
Jacob.
okay,
Jacob,
Go ahead,
wait.
why is she going
It's a
home?
barroom tradition. There's a cat.
Oh my god, do we have to do this again?
There's a cat. It's right there. It's a barroom tradition. There's a cat. There's a cat.
Cat!
I'm happy now.
That's our
Thank
boy.
you.
What a mark.
Well, it wasn't nice.
Half of the people on the show have a cat, so it's not just you, Ian.
More
It's like
than
literally Yeah, like that nerdigans.
Well, I mean, there's nothing like
Cassie.
being on a stream and getting assaulted by your cat. So yeah.
Yes, they know when you're live.
Well,
Yep.
there's a cat in my backyard that comes and goes. I don't know if that counts.
What's her name?
Is it a karma chameleon?
Oh no!
I was going to ask you what's her name, but I guess we can.
Oh,
figure out
her name is Tabitha. She's
No,
a.
I was talking to Rick.
Okay.
Tabitha. Yeah.
Well, it's not the one I accidentally picked up. I'll just put it that way.
Oh no!
All right, Eddie. All right,
boy.
Eddie.
Oh boy.
See, Echo and Showgirls, same thing. Same thing.
You know, he's got a point.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, I
hate
can
to
see
say
this.
it, but I think he's right.
I can see this on the stage in Las Vegas. That's all
Me
I'm
too.
saying.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't. That Goddess show was the cheapest show. It would have been the floor show at the Las Vegas Super 8.
yes, but did you watch Echo?
Yes, and I saw
Well,
Showgirls. I've seen
yeah.
that twice.
Yeah. Have you seen the definitive open mat
For Echo or for Showgirls?
for Showgirls?
Well, no. Again, I'm waiting for the criterion for Showgirls.
Oh,
No, God, get out of here. So let me ask you guys this, because this had led to a lot of conversation online, is that we, in the very beginning, we get the origin of Echo, and we explain exactly how she loses her leg. She's driving home with her mother one night. Now, okay, there's a couple of things here, and I can understand why people were so heated about this. So Echo's father apparently works for Fisk, and it's not revealed to that till later on, but no, he's obviously involved with very shady things. So Echo and her mom are driving one day, they're on the road, and all of a sudden Echo's mom realizes, oh, the brakes don't work, and now we're gonna crash. So they crash,
Well, wait,
and literally
wait.
in the
You forgot the most important part. They literally have enough time to sign back and forth to each other for about 2.5 minutes before they crash.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I was going to jump back into that just because
That's going to be a running trend in this show is that they give like characters time armor to sign. Like it's
they have
very
a bullet
common.
time for the signing.
It's
Is
a
that
quick
No,
time
I
event.
wish.
Well, I mean, the funny thing about it, everybody brought this up, but they would have realized something was wrong with the brakes the moment they pulled out the fucking driveway.
See,
that's what I was gonna say here. So
Yeah.
it's her brakes are being slashed because somebody sabotaged the car, but it's not until they're like miles and miles away from where they were going that they realize, oh, the brakes don't work. It's like you didn't press the brakes not one time in the entire time that you were in the car pulling out of the driveway.
It's during the rain also. So is
Blame
she
it on the
not
rain.
realizing trying to slow down during the rain here?
Like, are we operating on the rules of speed where you can't
I
go
don't think
below
it's- I don't
50
think it's
miles an
raining.
hour?
Yeah,
It's
I don't-
raining.
It's raining.
it's raining.
Is it?
Because that's why the girls come inside from the tent and they go,
Yeah,
"It's raining.
yeah.
We're cold. Can we
Oh,
go
okay,
get hot
okay.
chocolate?"
Yeah,
And then
Yeah,
that's
and
why
they
get in
didn't
the
have
car.
hot chocolate, so they had
Yeah.
to go get hot chocolate.
So
And yeah, anyway, Jacob,
da, da,
go
da.
It shows
ahead.
you how much I was paying attention to the damn
Oh,
show.
this pissed me off.
Yeah,
Oh.
so this is how Echo loses her leg. So
Okay, by the way, where did that shard of glass come from? Because the producers don't know, the writers
It
don't
sure
know.
didn't come from the windshield
audience
because
doesn't know.
No, it
Yeah.
did come from the windshield.
because
No,
that's
it
not
did
how
not. No, it
windshields
didn't.
work.
that's not how windshields break.
All right. Okay, guys, here. What
Mm-hmm.
do I always say? Something will happen if the plot requires it to.
Okay,
If the plot
here's
required
what
for
I would
her-
say to that, Rick. There's a better way to do that. You're driving a car, which is literally like a few tons of metal. Why wouldn't it just be a shard of jagged metal from the crash that impaled her leg rather than glass from the windshield?
Well, you don't even need to
won't
do
get
that. You
nice,
can have like
awesome effect of
because
glass
the car like did something, could have like rolled or whatnot. They could have had the dashboard crush her leg. You know that's
Yeah.
something that actually does happen in accidents,
Yeah.
right? Is
mean,
that
this-
sometimes things shift and well, it can
Okay.
pin your leg, and they could have done things that way. It'd be more believable.
But this isn't believable at all. Okay, first of all, that truck is a tank. How do I know? Because I used to drive one of those trucks. A. B. You have laminated glass for the windshield, the side windows, and the mirrors.
and the
Where
summer.
the
Honestly,
freak
what
did
they
the
should have
glass
done
come
is
from?
they should have had them get hit from her side. That
Tino,
way, she would have lost her leg. I want to. Yeah, it's the right leg, which is obviously facing the door. They could have done something that way.
I just want to point out the 2 female-led superhero shows on Disney Plus begin with car accidents. So in the Marvel universe, if you're a woman in a car, you're gonna fucking die.
Well, that
I was going to say it just proves the fact that women are bad drivers. So.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you know, Tatiana was driving. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, both times. You know, I'm just saying.
There you go.
Disney Marvel equals bad chick drivers.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they're certainly leaning into harmful stereotypes, as they like to say.
But it's progressive when they do it, guys. All right,
Of course.
Well, see, it can go the route of like bad woman drivers, and it can also go the route of drunk Native American drivers too. So there's 2 angles that you can go with it, right?
Rooftop Korean nails it though. These Gen Z writers don't have driver's licenses. They have no idea how a car works. It's some evil thing that they have to kill.
These are all writers who live in New York and have no concept of a car.
Pods.
Yes.
Yeah, they did eat Tide Pods. They're not bright, and yet you guys are putting the fate of the world in their hands. But no, and Tina, yes, I agree. The suspension of disbelief would be a lot of fun, except that this entire show requires you to have no belief at all. You need to suspend your brain. Yep. It is not good. This is bad. This makes me think Moon Knight was not terrible. That's how good.
No, it was still terrible. It was terrible for different reasons. This is terrible because of it's all incompetence, really.
Oh, Tina's mad at me. I'm sorry, Tina. I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
go ahead, sorry.
I just wanted to ask. Now, I have a question. In this car accident, right? Because I didn't watch the series. I'm supposed to be the weird guy that everybody either shames.
You're my favorite guy on this panel right now.
I mean, I didn't see it. So I do have a question about this car accident. So they have this accident. She gets this thing impaled in her leg. Okay, whatever. We got to deal with it. Yes. How do they show the process of her losing her leg? Does she just wake up and just like, I don't have a leg anymore? Or do they show surgery?
Pretty much.
You have arrived.
They imply it's amputated.
Yeah, but you arrived at my favorite part of hating this show because of this first episode. They made it a point, and they directed this all at me. I can tell. They said, we're going to fill in no blanks. You're going to be exhausted by the time you finish this episode because you're going to have to do all the story writing for us because we don't know what the fuck to write.
Okay, let's back up a little further.
I had to rewatch like the first 5 minutes of this episode because I didn't understand the cold open, and they never explain it. She just shows up in her old hometown with a bullet wound for no reason. There's no explanation as to why she went there, who's after. It's just she's here.
Well, see, the show is expecting
Let's rewind back to the crash scene real quick because there's something that we have not addressed. The fact that when she comes to, there's a shard of glass in her leg, and she's kind of like, is my mother still alive? Oh, she's not. I mean, no freaking out, no crying, no screaming that there's a large chunk of glass in her leg.
Now, wait a minute.
Perfectly fine.
Ian,
But what's going on here?
Ian, in defense of this, that is the way Maya is throughout the entire series, completely unemotional, without expressing any kind of sense.
And that's every woman.
You can't convince me that she would not be crying because of the huge chunk of glass in her leg.
But
come
on.
Wait,
she's not going to because she never
come on,
expresses any
Ian.
emotion.
She's in shock. She's in shock.
Jacob, do you still have the shot of that poking out of her leg?
I have to go back and grab it.
No, never mind. Then it's not worth it. It's Echo. Don't worry. So
I have it anyway. It's not that bad. Yeah.
Okay, so that's going through the top. That's hit her femoral artery. She's dead.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Details.
Do you expect these people to be doctors and know how femoral arteries work?
Well, they don't know how cars work, so I assume they don't know how biology works either. So
no, but I let me just say this. This goes through her boot down near her ankle, actually.
Okay.
Not through the top of her leg, even though it looks like it went through the top of her leg. Yeah, I know.
Did they take up to the knee off of her?
No, they only took her ankle off.
Yeah.
Well,
no, they took up to her knee.
I think it's just. Well, yeah, you're right. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Is it really?
It's in 2 parts.
It might be up to her calf.
She has a foot, and then she has a lower leg. If memory serves correct.
It just looks.
So she has a below the knee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I assumed that she was done at the knee there. So that's different then.
No. See.
So they just took her foot off. That's
and we actually have somebody in our fellowship that we can go to ask about, hey, what happened when you lost your leg and all this other stuff, because Mark.
Yeah, I used to work with a guy. Oh,
Mark.
Yeah.
Mark,
there's a couple people, but Mark obviously being one of them.
Yeah.
I used to work with a guy who had one of these. He lost it in a motorcycle accident. He'd lost his from the knee down. And what he explained to me is that you're not fighting. Unless you sit down, take this off, and beat somebody to death with it, there's no fight to be had. There's no power in this leg. If you're forced to put weight on it, you're done. It's just a screw through a hinge. So that's what was blowing my mind with all of Echo's stunts and stuff, is I was like, that's just a screw through a hinge. How is she fighting him at all? So now
Because she has the power of the Native American ancestors. What other explanation do you need?
It's the power of friendship,
and the uterus.
It's literally Kaori. Like, it's just.
So obviously this leads.
Wait! I have a question. She's not Kaori? I thought she was Kaori. I thought that was her superhero name, and she was the one in fighting with Captain Carter. And what is happening then if she's not? There are two glowy Native American.
Are you being
now?
Are you being serious, Cider? Because no, that's not. She's not Kaori. Like, they're two separate things with the same stupid concept of you are all the Native Americans.
That's so dumb. I thought she was just another universe version of Echo that had her feet.
Both of had her feet. No, both of them are original characters, and they both have the same gimmick of drinking blue water to get superpowers. Like, it's the exact same thing, and they don't address it. They don't mention it. They're just moving on.
What is it with Disney and colored liquids giving you powers? That's
well. I mean, you have heard of spirit. You have heard of spirit cooking, right, Cider?
Oh, right. I forgot about that. They eat babies. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. No, I thought that was kind of an homage to the liquid that they keep Walt's frozen head in.
Oh.
Well, yeah, there's that, and purple drink is magical too. Let's not forget that.
Well, and I have to tell you, I loved the homage to Moana because they all had their Nefiti symbols on their hands at the very beginning. It was fantastic. I was very excited.
I just want to know we're not even like 10 minutes into the first
No.
episode.
We're buckle up, everyone. Buckle up.
So this leads obviously to Maya's grandmother here, who's like, "Oh, you're a danger to the whole family. You killed my daughter, and I want you gone." So the father takes Maya to New York with him, and then leaves his other daughter there for some weird.
That's his cousin. I mean, her cousin. Her cousin.
That's
okay. No, I thought that was her sister.
No, they were saying sister, but she actually says, "I'm your cousin."
Yeah, the cousin.
Like,
we're
close like sisters. Yeah, they have a little discussion about this.
Yeah.
But
I wanna point out that the little girl is wearing trans colors.
Oh, don't be like that.
Out.
Don't be that
No,
person.
no,
That's
you're
exactly what the
reading too
liberals
much.
do.
I
That's
don't
exactly
think
what
he's
You're reading
wrong.
too much into it.
No,
No, I'm
anyway,
not. Nothing is an accident in these shows. You know
go
it.
10 seconds forward.
Forward.
Like, yeah, you can just hit the button right there. The 10 seconds.
Oh, lady.
Or just hit play because you got it. I need the shot of Echo in the car when she's driving away and she's looking back, and it's like right.
Yeah, it's right there.
It's like right here because I need to bring up how. Yes, so just hit play really quick and see what happens.
And demonetized.
So she's like, "Come with us," right? And then like they start driving away, and then she goes, "Bonnie," but like I feel like you have to play that next part because she signs Bonnie, but they treat it like it's her, like doing the like Bonnie,
calling out,
like yelling away, but that doesn't make any sense. So she's literally
how do you
just
stretch sign language?
That's what I mean, and it's such an awkward.
You just
shot.
wiggle your hand a little bit.
It stuck out to me, and I was just like, "What are we doing? Like this is not." Like, you guys aren't doing this right.
I think we mentioned this earlier. I'm not sure, just to reiterate again. If you're watching this series, about 70% of all the dialogue is sign language. So there's stretches of this entire show where nobody says a word. Like, no, that was not a joke.
No,
like
they didn't give her a voiceover or anything, like an inner monologue.
Most of the dialogue. Most of the dialogue is a combination of the person signing and speaking simultaneously.
So because Echo
that's what they usually do in like a TV show or movie, is that they will sign and talk at the same time.
Right.
So that for people who don't read sign language and obviously don't want to read the subtitles, you have an idea of what's being said, and it's the deaf person that just signs in the subtitles.
But I'm also like, I'm personally of the opinion that it's subtitles. Like I watch anime all the time, right? Like I'm used to reading a subtitle, and that to me doesn't bug me that much. It bugged me when I like looked away from the screen for a second and then came back and the plot had jumped like 500 years in the future. But I think overall that's not that big of a deal. At least I didn't find it.
Except for the first episode.
You're the exception, okay? And the other thing too, not to get in disability fight. I have a learning disability, right? I hate reading subtitles.
Yeah, that's
really
fair.
do.
I forgot about that.
So, I mean, for me, it's like even sitting through Godzilla -1, which is a fantastic movie, was a bit of a chore for me, right? So, I mean, fortunately, they subtitles up quite a bit because, you know, sometimes Japanese is very long-winded, which is fantastic for me. But the issue here is that, you know, when the majority of your stupid show, which is made for an audience that speaks English and understands English and is not deaf, right? This is the thing that's so funny. They basically made this show for deaf people that are never going to watch the show. It's just regular people. You know, potentially comic book nerds are going to watch it, but yeah, it's like it's nothing but one large virtue signal because that's what they wanted. Oh, we're doing this groundbreaking thing that nobody fucking cares about.
Well, here's the thing. It's just so people who were watching this don't understand. So, like I said, because Maya doesn't actually speak in the show outside of like maybe one or two lines she mumbled throughout the course of the show,
groans or grunts or something.
Yeah. And I think the only time she got close to actually speaking when she was arguing with her grandmother later on in the series. But so if you're watching this, either her dialogue is sign language with subtitles to explain what she's saying, or she's texting somebody on the phone and the texts are being shown on the screen. That's their only sense of dialogue when it comes to Maya once she's on screen.
Well, the other thing too that I don't get. I've known several deaf people, right? Deaf people do talk. They are very difficult to understand, and also depends on when they lost their hearing. But the fact that she doesn't try to speak at all is really ridiculous. So, this is what we're talking about, like deaf, mute, Native American, peg leg, right? It's like it literally checks all the boxes. But if you actually have known a deaf person in real life, they talk, or at least they try.
Yeah,
and that bothered me a lot.
Can I ask a question of you that did see it though? If she had an inner monologue going on, so when she's signing, someone else is speaking. It's clearly not her. You have like an elder Native American woman come in and speak on behalf of Echo in ADR. So that way, in tandem with the subtitles, you have a voiceover saying what she's signing in tandem with that it's clearly not her. Would that have improved the show?
No, I don't remember her having any inner monologue where.
No. He was saying if they did that, would it improve the show? I think.
He's asking.
I think it would actually, because and again, if you want to be inclusive and whatnot, that's what they're trying to do. You got to be inclusive to people who aren't fucking deaf. Okay. Because if you don't, this comes off as just one giant virtue signal of a TV show, and that's exactly what it is, right? This is exactly what it is. It's a fucking virtue signal. It's the reason why Kevin Feige wanted to get rid of it, but he couldn't do it. And part of it is that this goes back to the whole diversity trap thing. Because they did all this shit, they said, "Oh, it's so important," even though they realized it was a bunch of garbage. They wanted to get rid of it. They wanted to drop it, down the memory hole so fucking fast. They wanted to cancel, but they can't. It's a trap now. They have to do it because they virtue signaled so fucking hard for the show.
Yep. Now, here's the thing, and I wanted to talk about here. Now, me, Cider, and Spencer broke this down shot by shot, but it's the scene with Daredevil, right? So we fast forward a little bit, and you're basically just recapping what happened with the Hawkeye series.
The full thing makes it worse. The full thing makes it worse.
By the way, just in case you were wondering, this is the only time Daredevil appears in the entire series. So this is literally it.
Yeah, and he doesn't do anything, right? He just promptly fucks off. That's the thing I find so funny.
Yeah,
is
really
they're fighting,
is what he does,
and then suddenly he disappears. It's like, why would he not apprehend the bad guy or whatever Daredevil does?
Because she was the only one to stand toe to toe against him.
So stupid. Holy shit.
Hey, that's what Fisk said.
I'm breaking the PG rating. I know, and it's the dumbest explanation because literally when that scene begins, we see Echo. It's her first job for Kingpin. She's being assigned to two handlers who know what they're doing. They bust into this like drug den and they start killing all the guys there because whatever gang war. And Echo is getting her ass kicked by all the guys in there. And then Daredevil, freaking like Daredevil in his suit, not like Black Mask, so he's got experience. Like he shows up and he she holds his own against him, and then Fisk says, "Wow, none of my men have ever been able to do it like you have." Like, come on. Like,
well, the other thing too is that
I was just like,
if
come on.
if the writers of the show didn't decide to change her powers, it would have made sense, right? Because her powers in the comic book is that she's able to go and mimic other people's fighting styles and read other people's fighting styles
immediately.
So and that's exactly it. If they stuck with that and they had that be her power before she went back home, it would make sense why she can go toe to toe with Daredevil. This goes back to the whole thing when we talk about anything when it comes to a small woman going up against a big guy. If you give a rational explanation like cybernetics, genetic enhancements, superpowers, nobody's going to freaking complain about it because you gave a rational explanation of why this individual is able to go and fight off a dude twice her size. But it's like, yeah, she doesn't get her powers until she meets her grandma again.
Well,
whatever.
Somebody pointed this online. This is literally a blind guy fighting a one-legged deaf person.
Deaf woman.
Yes.
It's literally a cripple fight. Like,
well, yeah, that was like the whole joke was it's a cripple fight.
Now, I watched this fight scene and I played it over quite a few times because I like to learn from what they're doing so I can reverse engineer it into something.
I mean,
better
you had
for
the best
products I
breakdown on
make.
the stream, yeah.
So what I have to ask about this, right, is that what if they did this like they said with the powers? She didn't get all the Native Americans. She got the echo power where she was mimicking. And you have Daredevil enter this fight scene very randomly. But to illustrate that he's kind of like thrown off by her, you have him like beating her back a little bit, but then all of a sudden she starts mimicking his moves and beating him back. She can dodge the poles, she can dodge the whips, and she starts moving with him. She picks up a weapon, starts using it like the poles with him. That would have been better to chase him out of the show. He would have then been like, I gotta go. I don't know how to deal with you. You're gonna get me. And he would have fucked off, and that would have made sense. But now he's just like, oh well, bye.
And the other thing too, she's the one who should have fled. Right. Something should have happened where she ran away, not Daredevil. That makes zero freaking sense. Of course, they're not going to do that with her because,
gotta have your strong female protagonist.
The way I understand it, Cider, is that the director and the people behind it thought that idea of her mimicking was lame.
Yes.
Of course, they weren't going to go to do that.
Right.
I mean, that wasn't a good idea here, but why would you take a good idea when you can improve on it?
Well, they didn't.
So Spencer just confirmed something for me in the back here because I didn't want to say it until I knew for sure. Echo was made in a time when they weren't using show Bibles and they didn't have official showrunners that were in charge of putting the hammer down. So this is why this thing is all over the place, why it makes no sense at all. Because I like to get high and I like to write, but then when I sober up, I read it back to myself and I go, wow, that's crazy. That's never going to happen.
The difference
Seinfeld,
is that you will do that, right? But they'll get high, write a script and go, oh, this is magic. First draft, let's do it.
Well, look, there has to be logic to it because this episode has 4 credited screenwriters.
What? No, let me correct you there, Rick. Every episode has 4 credited screenwriters. I believe the third episode has 3. The third episode has 3.
No, episode 2 has 6.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lowball it there.
Actually, I'm sorry. Let me walk that back a bit. Episode 2 has 6 story by, but it does have 4.
No, so
wow, you don't need. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick little correction there.
Anything
two of those writers are the ones who actually created the character of Echo, so they get the story by credits. The other 4 writers for each episode, they're the ones that actually worked on the show itself, so they get the actual writing credits for each episode.
Can I ask all of you smart people here?
Mm-hmm.
Did any single blow visually strike the other opponent?
No. And no, like I said, we broke this down 2 weeks ago, and here's the problem, right? They're doing stunt choreography with a woman who's legitimately deaf. So she's trying to essentially do choreography with we can assume that this is the real actor Charlie Cox here playing Daredevil. But because she's deaf, she's like visually like a step behind all the cues. Because usually, if you're gonna get two people like on a set and fake a fight, usually you would be like, okay, well, I punch you overhand and you duck and then you kick and then I'll grab your leg and all that stuff. Because she's deaf, they have to struggle essentially to communicate. That's why it seems like she's a step behind every single punch and kick.
We learned this with Power Rangers, though, when they went behind the scenes with the movie. What they do in these action scenes is they don't put any microphones on the action scene. They completely mute it, and they shoot the scene completely without sound. And when there's someone off behind the camera that's going, now, 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 and that's how they get the timing right. They can't do that with her.
And then you ADR after,
Yeah, and then they ADR to sound in afterwards. That's why it always sounds a little weird when the punches hit, because it's like, that's not what a punch sounds like. But anyway, they what they do with this is so confusing because they can't signal her with light because they're inside of a space. So that light will reflect, excuse me, off the walls. So they can't signal her with lights. It's literally her and Charlie Cox running up at each other and him going, hit me now. He's waiting for her to swing at him. We see that over and over again in that scene where he runs up at her and then he goes, any minute now. And she swings at him and deliberately 5 inches away from his face. And he goes pirouetting on his heel like he just got knocked out of the center ring at WWF.
Well, and this is the thing I don't understand how we got here. I mean, I understand how we got here, but this is why it's dumb. Because before, you would just hire an actor, someone who can actually act and do stunt choreography, and they would pretend to be deaf or blind or whatever, or gay or straight, whatever, right? Because it's called acting, and acting is about pretending. It's not, you are not really that person. You do not, I've done all kinds of like stage stuff throughout like high school, middle school, all these things. You are just pretending to be something, right?
Wait a minute.
And this is the thing that is driving me crazy about what was going on with current year in Hollywood. Remember when ScarJo was going to be cast as that trans man? And then they canceled it because she wasn't trans. It's like, so the very thing that you're screaming about representation, you shot down because there was an actor, somebody who pretends for a living, was going to pretend to be a woman who is a trans man. Okay. This is how asinine all this shit is. The fact that, they have to be this thing. So, and everybody makes the joke. So are we going to go and hunt down the real God of Thunder to play Thor? No, it's a human being that is pretending to be this superhero.
Well, no, he's white.
It's not any different here. You need to hire somebody who obviously looks the part because, Maya is Native American. Again, they could be Hispanic, as long as I don't care if they are of that thing, as long as they look the part, right? That's the key thing, and have the ability to act. And this is the issue. And this is what's ruining entertainment. It's this nonsense virtue signaling. It's like, I feel so represented because they have a deaf person who's an actor on their show. It's like, nobody fucking cares. What people want is good entertainment.
Well, Ian, picking up on a point real quick, there's been that shift, and it's not been too long, because if you remember, Felicity Huffman received an Oscar nomination for playing a trans woman in the movie Transamerica.
Transamerica.
That would not have happened now.
No, it would not.
No, actually,
Doubtfire wouldn't happen now.
Well, and we just had a show that was an award winner called Transparent.
Yep.
So
but the
that
thing
couldn't
is
be
that,
made now, even though everybody loved that. That couldn't be made now.
No.
Like everybody would hang Jeffrey.
Well, the thing that I find so asinine is that you're basically, what they're saying now is that, okay, because a straight man cannot play a gay man, you're also by extension saying a gay man can't play a straight man.
No. That's
That's not how the rules work, buddy.
That's a curious thing here, and I have brought this up.
We'll have to sue them if they do that.
Gay actors insist that only gay actors can play gay roles. That's why you had the whole bros brouhaha. But they also believe that gay actors should play straight roles as well as gay roles.
Well, they need to be called out for their hypocrisy.
Well, no, it's a way of trying to get more jobs while still trying to say, I'm representing. They forget that acting is not being.
Yeah.
No.
You know how you get around that, right? You go, hi, I'm an actor and I'm bisexual. Can I play that part now? Yeah, I mean that's what that is what's there are ways of gaming the system, and this is what's going to happen because
I'm not sure.
Just look at the what happened recently with that. There was a women in tech kind of like not gonna say convention.
Oh, that was my favorite thing. Yeah, it was.
And you had a bunch of dudes show up and said, "We're non-binary. Let us in." And suddenly, all these women were pissed off because they opened the doors to a bunch of dudes because they said they were non-binary. There are ways of gaming the system, and all you have to do is say, "Oh yeah, I'm bisexual." How many actors have come out saying they're bisexual when they're already married?
Oh yeah,
it's a wild swing from when you had Mickey Rooney play Mr. Yuniyoshi in Breakfast at Tiffany's to now when you say only a trans person can play a trans character, only a deaf, mute, one-legged Native American can play a deaf, mute, one-legged Native American.
Well, we see what the result is, and that show is garbage. But anyway, very quickly, we are only partway through the first episode of this show, and if you make us go longer, Rick, I will find you.
Yes, so tone down the tangents over there. That's all I got to say. But so the thing to wrap up this first episode, because I mean, honestly, the first episode is really just a recap of Hawkeye for the most part, with a couple of scenes added on here.
Yes,
Hawkeye.
Hot guy.
Hot guy.
You know, the dude that got run over by the snow thingy, the snow.
Oh
cat.
yeah, Gimp guy.
So essentially what happens is that after she shoots Kingpin at the end of Hawkeye, she goes back to Oklahoma, apparently for the first time in 20 years, because she hadn't been there since she left as a kid, which is weird because not only are people not like, oh my God, it's Maya, I haven't seen you since you were a little girl. It's like no one's really like shocked to see her back.
You look exactly the same.
No, everyone recognizes her like instantly. It's like... if you hadn't seen someone since they were 12 and you see them again when they're like 35 years old, it's like it's gonna be a minute before you catch on that that's the same person.
The only character who reacted like appropriately to her like coming back was the best character in the series, hands down, Biscuit. Because when Biscuit like caught her inside the house, he was like, "What? Oh my, Maya!" Like he actually freaked out and he was like, "Holy crap! Like that's you!" But then everybody else was just like, "Oh hey, it's you. 20 years, huh?"
Hey, I like Biscuits, but I still like Lieutenant Biscuits better from Andor. So,
yeah, was he actually in Andor?
Lieutenant Biscuits? Man, there's a reason she was called Biscuits.
This feels very racist.
Why does it feel very racist?
Hello, second episode.
Well, because none of this is congruent to Native American culture. This is like three different Native American cultures.
No, hang on. Okay, so the Choctaw are actually from Alabama, and so what you're seeing, like with the mounds and the structures, are actually accurate for that time period.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't speak to the clothing, but you know, I like the whole thing with the step pyramids, the mounds and stuff, the structures. All accurate. The only reason why I know this is because my great aunt, who's from Alabama, actually she was an archaeologist, but she did work on an archaeological team that studied all this stuff way back when. So I don't know if it was like the 50s or 60s or the 40s, but yeah, I mean, so all this stuff here that they're showing, for the most part, relatively accurate, with the exception of the fact that females did not play stickball.
Well, that was bugging me. Okay, I had to pause. I went on Google. I couldn't find crap, but I was like, this doesn't feel right. I feel like she would be dead. Like,
because you need a strong female. Confounded people, do you not understand this? You need a strong female to take down the patriarchy of the Choctaw Nation.
That's great, Rick. But the most important thing you guys are missing here, she has great compression garments she's wearing underneath that.
Oh yes, very much so. So this is now the theme. Once we get to the second episode here, this is what you're going to see the start of every single episode, is that we go back into ancient times, and it's some woman in the lineage of Maya's family who's dealing with a situation where she's the only woman doing something that's male dominated, and the men won't let her do it. And she has to prove whether it's, you know, playing this Harry Potter Native American game or shooting people in the wilderness somewhere.
Made sense, at least. That was like the only cool one. I was like, okay, this one makes sense. ish. I like this.
right.
The choreography in that scene was awful. Like there are a lot of moments where it's like draw, and then there's like 2 seconds where it's like, why didn't you get shot? And then she shoots. Like that was weird. But I thought that was the one intro that was remotely interesting.
And the thing that I really loved about this was that the electric lights that are, within the buildings and on the side of the buildings here, those didn't stand out at all in the ancient times back then. They were just magically, there from the future.
Yeah, the gods.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the gods, right? But this
is
The
ancient.
gods must be
times?
crazy.
Yeah, this is supposed to be ancient Alabama.
Well, it's not like
Native
I want to say it was like 1200. So
I mean, that's ancient for me. I was born in 1989.
Yeah,
This is
but
1200 AD.
But see, Cider, I'm talking about the electric filament light bulb that wasn't quite there yet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that wasn't around then. They didn't.
No.
Ben Franklin
No,
hadn't flown a kite in the rain at that point. So.
Yeah.
no, not yet. Yeah.
So I
About
just wanted
500 years off. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only happened a few times. See, this show didn't just pull me out during oh my.
I just want to point this out. This whole scene went on for like almost 7 minutes, and there's only 39 minutes this second episode here. So this is what they spent like a 10th, almost nearly a 10% of the runtime on, was this one scene that was ultimately inconsequential to the actual plot of the show itself. But they just want, like I said, the whole point of the show is Native American representation. So that's what they were going for.
Can I ask a question? Why are the Native American women walking around with shirts on in the summer?
Because if they because this show is not on.
Oh, come on.
No, because this show is not on National Geographic, which is also unironically owned by Disney. So that's the reason why.
But see, what you guys missed was what you guys missed in that particular scene and shot is the power lines that are in the background there. That was fantastic. Well done.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh wait. I missed that.
Yeah, there's a power pole that you can see, and if you have to go through the entire thing there, but there's a power pole that you can see in the background there, with electrical lines attached to it, back behind some of the huts. It's just off center screen in the back.
There are guys on Fiverr right now that you can pay $25 that will replace the entire skybox for you in your videos. Right? It's $25, and they completely take care of it.
I can take care of that for you.
Amazing. Not Disney though. They can't do it.
At this point in the show, Echo does her best Andrew Tate impersonation right here, as you can clearly see.
Wow. So, I can't unsee that now. I feel like she's about to tell me about men's rights.
Yeah. I feel like she's about to call an emergency meeting, right? Doesn't that feel like she's
You are invited to the war room.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Does she enunciate with her sign language?
No, she does not. She doesn't even enunciate with her face. I mean, there's so many things wrong with this show.
I feel so bad for her.
Yeah.
And to be fair, look, it's not her fault. I mean, look,
that's what I mean. Yeah.
And you can say, well, she accepted
I don't blame her. I mean, I blame the show.
Everybody else.
We're taking a shot at Marvel. We're not taking a shot at her.
Let's review again comics. There was no showrunner on this show.
Well, I know it was the most convenient thing I could say.
Casting director, perhaps.
Not even casting director. Whoever was in charge of the show. I mean, typically you call them a showrunner, whether they're a showrunner or not. But
it's the Marvel committee. It's the one that's made up of like Feige, Sana Amanat, Luis Esposito, or whatever his name is. Like it's all.
Amanat.
Oh, you mean Sama Amanat, the sexual predator who still works at Marvel and has not been fired for sexually harassing men?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
just have to throw that out there. Allegedly, by the way.
Imagine working for Disney making children's content and your boss is a weird pervert. Wouldn't that be weird?
Yeah.
What's weird is that she wasn't fired for said sexual perversion, allegedly.
Nope. Why would they?
I would hope
harassment they want.
Neil, I would hope this is cheaper than She-Hulk, because if not, we need to have some serious questions about money laundering at Disney if it's somehow more expensive. So episode 2, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you, not much happened in this episode at all. The only thing that really happened here was that Echo tried to Indiana Jones her way onto a train because she was trying to sabotage essentially one of Kingpin's shipments so that it explodes and makes it sabotages his business, and she successfully does that. And then at the very end of the episode, her sister / cousin thing finds out that she's in town, and then episode over. I mean, that's
okay. I gotta ask a question. Why the hell did she do this? Because I thought the whole idea is that she left New York to get away from the life, but she's like, I'm going to go sabotage this train and piss a bunch of people off so they come and endanger my family.
Because it's time for a queen pin. That was in episode 1. Did you not remember that?
Would you please shut the hell up?
Okay, I did.
So the reason. That's what she said.
I felt really immersed in the episode because I had no idea what was going on. It would be just like real life if I was there and people were signing. I would have no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Jacob. This episode was important, and something did happen. She learned to get her powers that could move the train and release her prosthetic leg. That's what happened. That's
the whole thing was dumb, by the way.
The whole point of the episode.
Well, there's that, but also the dumb is that she's not dead.
Yeah.
Because just getting on that train, she would have died. She would have skipped off it like a stone on a freaking pond. And then when she got off of it, she would have fractured her knee, broken her back, been thrown from the tailgate of the vehicle.
But she landed safely on the truck on biscuits.
Okay, I'm sorry. This just popped into my head. It's absolutely hilarious.
Biscuits, shut up.
I remember Brendan Schaub. I know you think Brendan Schaub. Where's this going? Okay, so Brendan Schaub was talking to Joe Rogan once. He was talking about a fighter called Matt Hamill from the UFC, and he's also a famously deaf fighter. And Matt Hamill, one time a few years ago, wanted to challenge John Jones to a fight. And Brendan Schaub says, "Come on, Matt, what are you trying to do? You trying to lose your vision too?" It's like basically trying to lose. Like literally, I'm watching this whole thing, and I'm thinking to myself, "You're already deaf." And then apparently, they think that the way that physics works in this show is that, oh yeah, she can definitely jump onto a moving train, not roll off or not immediately like break something and then fall off, and then she'll go ahead and lose her only functioning leg that she has in the course of this.
There's this tricky thing called equilibrium in the human body, and you need sound to know where the hell you are in a room and where you are leaning back and forth, things like that. It also helps you like position yourself in an upright, let alone side to side, but back.
Well, I mean, a lot of that has to do with the fluid in your ears, right? That keeps your balance. So just because you're deaf doesn't mean that fluid's damaged. But there's one thing I did come to the conclusion after watching this show. The whole idea of this deaf hitman is really stupid, especially when you're trying to be stealthy. And on top of that, she's got the prosthetic leg, because you know that when she's moving around, she's making all kinds of noise. And it's the very idea of this is dumb unless there's some sort of magic or superpowers involved, right? Because how easy is it to go and sneak up on her? Because literally, she would never hear them coming.
No.
Well, in the comic where she was introduced, okay, Daredevil at first is like defeated by her because she can mimic his moves. But in the second round, he defeats her by turning off the lights.
Yeah,
that's how
that's actually true. Yeah.
So that's like 2/4 of her ability to fight that are completely erased at that point, and he's got the upper hand because he's got his
let's be honest, most people, you flip the lights off, they're screwed too, right? Because unless you're specifically trained in blind fighting, you know, it's very difficult. And I mean, and I do study martial arts.
Generally, it takes like a few seconds for your eyes to adjust from there being light to no light. Yeah. So I mean, you can't just
well, exactly. But one of the things that we learn in Kempo is to do things by feel. Once I get a hold of you, I want to maintain some sort of physical connection to you, because at that point in time, I know where you are at all times. So even if they're to poke my eye or throw sand in my face, if I know where your arm is, I know where the rest of your body is, right? So that's a part of that fighting style. But if you are not making a physical connection and it's pitch black, it's going to be very difficult to find that person unless you're really attuned to listening and being able to hear where somebody's at. Most people obviously are not going to be at that level unless you were not like a trained fighter or martial artist, but like literally trained to be a master and be able to detect what's around you. Most people will never be at that level.
Yes, but do they have the power of the ancestors?
Yes.
But she doesn't have it yet. But that's also something I wanted to talk about, is that, and maybe I missed something because I was like comics and I was half paying attention. But from all I saw, the only training Maya had was like, I did some karate as a kid. Now I'm
Right.
gonna go be an enforcer, and that let her hold her own with Daredevil and make this am I wrong? Is that it? Like, was that all it is? Are you kidding me? It's so disconnected. It's just
Well, I
how
mean,
great.
you can
it's
say that
standard Marvel.
because Kingpin raised her, that she learned to fight growing up, which I don't have a problem with that. That kind of makes sense. But at the same time, when the idea is, even though Daredevil for the most part is a normal guy, he has a superpower, right? Basically, the whole echolocation thing, world on fire, whatever you want to call it. Even though he's blind, he's able to see in some capacity, right? So when somebody goes and makes a swing, he knows because he's able to sense it more so than someone is able to go and see it, which makes him very difficult to fight because of that ability. Where she's basically at this point in time fighting him just a normal person, right? You should be very well trained in martial arts, sure, but there's a difference between the applied martial arts and then something you learn and you practice. The whole thing, the funny thing about Kempo, when Ed Parker was creating the art, he would actually have his guys go and start fights. And a lot of it is that they were, learning not just how to, okay, well, this worked, this didn't work, but you're also getting that experience of actually being in a fight. There's a difference between training and being in a real world fight. So
100%, yeah.
She's learned, she's been trained, but doesn't necessarily have that experience of being able to defend herself.
Completely, yeah. Okay, I'm with you. You got me.
Yeah.
Well, that was episode 2. I hate to break it to you, but that's literally all that happened. So keep in mind, this is a show that was supposed to be 8 episodes, cut to 6, cut to 5, and somehow in a 5-episode series, we still ended up with a complete filler episode.
I don't even remember what happened in 3.
Well, 3 is actually the first time that something actually happened that was relevant to the entire plot of this story.
Wait a minute. What happened in 3?
The Night Watchmen, or whatever they're called, the Night Riders, or whatever they're the Light Horsemen.
Ah, the shooty McShooty people.
Yeah.
This
was
the silent
scene
homage.
that Spencer was talking about earlier, the Night Horseman. We started this one here because, like I said, everything was a cue back to, like I said, a woman within her ancestry here, and like I said, this is the one that you said actually worked, right?
That I liked, yeah. I kind of like this one, yeah.
Well, the one thing I thought was pretty funny about it's like, did she not have any male ancestors?
Apparently not. Well, I understand that the Choctaw are a matriarchal society, so
they are.
So it kind of makes sense.
I think this is for you guys, but have you guys seen The Beekeeper yet? Have you guys seen that movie?
Not
yet. I've only read and watched your review.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've seen the movie, then you would know that this is an absolute no shit question. Yeah, it'd definitely be The Beekeeper. I'd rather watch Jason Statham punch and kick people for 2 hours than wherever the heck this was. But,
oh yeah, no, I'd probably rather watch anything else than Echo.
Well, so another thing I want to point out real quick, because you bring up the whole thing with how they're matriarchal. Just because they're matriarchal doesn't necessarily mean that all women lead. Okay, because a lot of that.
Wait a minute! In the first episode, the roof caves in over there at Showgirl's Palace, right? They all come out, and bitch comes out with her white fucking robe on somehow and says, "Follow me," and they all did.
Yeah. So, well, okay,
you're wrong.
This is a very large misunderstanding or interpretation of that, because a lot of societies that are quote unquote matriarchal means they trace their lineage through the mother rather than the father.
That's what.
Okay. And the reason why they do that, especially in, because it's the same thing with Judaism, right? It's the reason why if your mother's Jewish, you are Jewish, right? Your father doesn't count. The reason why is because you're able to go, you're always going to know who your mother is, right? You may not necessarily know who your father is.
Correct.
So that's typically what a lot of that meant. It doesn't mean that the women were in charge.
That is true. But all the episodes are named after her female ancestors. And I'm assuming in episode 5, we'll talk about why.
But, yeah. Well, and again, it's because it's the MCU.
Yeah. So at this point of the story in episode 3, we get a Maya just randomly walking into the woods, and she gets to see her ancestor because all of a sudden her powers are starting to come to her. She doesn't really know what's going on, and of course this is kind of a tease of, well, she has to go eventually have a talk with her grandmother to figure out why she's having these weird things. But at this point in the show, she immediately gets kidnapped. She gets kidnapped and hogtied by the owner of the I'm not saying the owner, the worker at the skating rink. Here,
The
guy who cleans
look
shoes.
at this.
Yes.
No.
Oh, no wonder I didn't reckon. I didn't remember
not
this
only
episode.
that, not only that, they literally tied her up by her false leg. Here, I don't know if I can. Yeah,
this is ridiculous. That
You
makes
had it, you
no.
had it.
I have to tell you,
But,
I loved this. This was a fantastic moment.
oh yeah. So this is what happens here. The
Echo
skating
and a
rink guy.
disco. It's an echo disco ball, a disco echo ball. I mean, it's fantastic.
So here we have the guy who runs the skating rink, and I'm assuming this is what, his girlfriend or sisters. I didn't pay that much attention to who these two chicks were.
Sister wives.
They just showed up.
Yeah,
It's the sister wives.
This is Vicky.
I'm
guy's
pretty
Vicky.
sure it's because they didn't have enough female representation in this show.
I guess so,
No, they
right?
didn't have enough poor white trash representation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they nailed it here, and they were both just terrible people.
Mm-hmm. This is straight up, what do they call it, floor Bama all the way here with these three. But the idea is that, hey, we know where Maya is, even though I don't know how they knew, like in New York, that, hey, we got this girl who shot Kingpin. She's down here. Like, come take her and give us the money. So essentially, their idea is that they kidnap
girl.
Yeah. They kidnap Echo and they wait for Kingpin's goons to come back and pick her up under this guise that, I'm going to get the award money because I'm going to trust, this villainous crime lord scumbag to keep his word, which, shocker, he doesn't. But this is the whole concept. This is where Maya's cousin sister thing finally shows up and realizes that this whole time that she had been back in town, and then of course she gets tied up too as well because she's a fighter and she tried to call for backup. That doesn't go very well. So now you have this awkward scene where they're both temporarily handcuffed to each other in the room, but I think they get out, like, at least she gets out like almost immediately, so it wasn't like there was any real threat to danger here. She was just kind of just like playing along to her. But they're having this, like, what I like to call this sign language fight, where she's trying to communicate with Maya that she's really upset that she hasn't contacted her in 20 years, and Maya doesn't really seem to care too much about her cousin sister's feelings for being gone for all this time. But like I said, they're more focused now on trying to get out of here before all of Kingpin's goons show up, which of course happens anyway, because why
the one thing I don't get, it's like, okay, they do this scene where they do something really impractical where they hang her from the ceiling. Why not just like handcuff her, duct tape her arms and legs together to where she can't do anything? I mean,
because it's more visually arresting to have her hang.
It's retarded.
Mm-hmm. It's more visually interesting.
Yes, but it's more visually interesting.
Well, I mean, if you want to do something silly, like have a Bond moment where they have some sort of elaborate trap, but I mean, whenever they do that, it's meant to be campy because the bad guy monologues, the good guy is tied to some sort of torture / kill device, and eventually gets away. And again, it's kind of playing into a level of camp. This is trying to be serious. And the idea that I've captured this person, I want to make sure that they're restrained so I can go get my payout, right? Yeah, let's hang them from the ceiling, which is totally impractical and absolutely stupid.
Which is also weird too, because it's like they know who Maya is because that's the reason why they called Kingpin's goons in the first place. But
Right.
apparently they have no idea that Maya is like some crime fighter badass who can beat up like a whole room of these guys in like one go, because it seems like they don't really treat her as a threat they should be treating her as. Like,
Well, the other thing too that somebody pointed out is like, why not just take her fucking leg?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it is so easy to, quote unquote,
what you gonna do? Hop
cripple her,
away?
right? Yeah, well, no, exactly. I mean, it's like, as much as it's funny because there's a stream where X-Ray Girl and Mark are, on screen, and basically he doesn't have his leg on. He goes crawling across the floor, and that's how she's going to get away, right? Is she's going to have to crawl. And obviously it's going to be a lot easier to, stop her because she can't literally, just walk away.
Not just that, but they also didn't they throw her foot at her when she is tied down in that back room. It's like, why would
I
you?
want to say that's the case. Like I said, I wasn't 100% paying attention. I
heard about that.
I was more interested in doing something else than watching the show. But I just remember it's like, why would you not take her leg and then like duct tape her to a fucking pole and oh, her cousin shows up? Well, stick her in another room. Why put these two together where they conspire? Why not have a fucking armed guard on her too?
I've already answered that question.
So she can get away? Yeah.
No, because the plot requires it to.
Yes, so she can get away. Yeah.
This is in the same universe where Captain America was ambushed with magnetic handcuffs in a see-through elevator. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
So like there's no excuse for this kind of lapse in logic. We've proved that even the dumbest criminals in this universe are capable of at least
I'm sorry.
annoying Captain America.
Are you expecting the Funky Bunch over here to have magnetic capabilities to hold down superpower heroes?
Well, no, I'm expecting them to be more competent than like Darwin Award recipients, you know?
Well, Darwin Award criminal.
Right.
There's very little upside to any of the decisions that they make. That's just I'm with Cider. You know, and I mean, this is a dumb show, and she doesn't have superpowers. She has unrealized powers at this point. The power of her ancestors, which we're gonna get fisted with at the end of this thing.
Here's another thing that I just don't understand here. So the bad guys show up and they're like, "Where's mine?" And it's like, "Well, I want to see the money first, right?" So of course the bad guys just killed the Funky Bunch over here before even realizing if Maya is even there or not. Which is like, when you at least get the body first before screwing the guy over, because now you still got to go out and find Maya, and you have no idea where she is in the building at all. Like,
what?
And that's the other thing. This is a fucking skate rink. I guess it's attached to a laser tag place now too, and some other shit.
Yeah.
So I'm
that's
like,
common. That's fine. That's very normal.
Sure, but at the same time, I'm like, how big is this building? Because this episode is 30 minutes long, and they are walking around that building for 30 freaking minutes. Where's Maya?
Well,
in the maintenance
I think
room.
this was the only episode not directed by Freeland.
This is the only one not directed by
Freeland. Oh, and that explains why it was like, okay.
Why it had a plot.
What I think a lot of people missed is in that laser gallery, that was the homage to Lady from Shanghai at the climactic end when they're shooting and they're missing and you see all various images. See,
and they're doing that, of course, when you got Rob Zombie playing in the background during this shootout.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They're playing Dragula. Yeah.
There's also
at least Rob got a payout.
Okay, wait. Go back to that fight scene when Maya's like or have we gotten there yet? When she like breaks free and starts kicking all their asses in the ring.
Well, I mean, we're basically
we'll get
there now. So
all right. Well,
there.
Yeah. So let me take this really quick because so what happens next is obviously Maya breaks free. She starts fighting her way out. Yada yada yada. But
you missed a step, Spencer.
Oh, what?
She constructed.
What did I miss?
She constructed a device out of a skate.
Oh,
basically,
right. Yeah.
Basically, that was kind of like a pellet gun, except it was shooting like nuts or something like skateboard.
So she's a MacGyver as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She fucking MacGyvers her way out of it because she basically breaks a glass bulb over the girl that was basically guarding her, and she gets out like that way. And it is absolutely ridiculous that she is able to in like 5 minutes MacGyver up a fucking roller skate like nut flinger or bolt flinger, or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
Well, then here's the problem. It's like she goes through all this and then she ultimately fails anyway, right? Because they
wait. Before we end this fight, like we need to talk about this because this is more of this show's really terrible editing. So we broke it down, obviously, in the Daredevil fight. There's just a lack of choreography. There's a lack of editing. It just feels weird. We didn't mention in that first episode, there's also a scene when Maya's breaking into into a room where she full body throws her like weight into the door. And then the next scene just has no continuity for that weight. Like they had to edit this to make it seem like she was selling everything. So in this specific fight scene, I think it's like, I have no idea where it is in relation to any of this, but there's a moment where she's fighting along the wall and there's like vending machines and lockers and stuff, and she's like throwing them into the thing, and they do this really, really weird. And it's the only time it ever happens. They do like 3 instances of Zack Snyder slow-mo where like she's about to like slam somebody into the thing and it slows down and she slams him and it snaps back. And I'm like, what? You had to do that to set, like, this has not happened before. Like, this is really bad. Like, you guys are trying to fix something in editing that just isn't there. Like, it's really bad.
Spencer, do you think that it was another director? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
I don't think it would have.
I think it has to have, because I think it's the same bad action that we've seen before, and the same, like, it's the same bad action we saw in episode 1, in episode 2, and it's the same, like, I think there's probably an action director, and it wasn't whoever this was, because it's just too consistently bad. We'll also see this as we get into later fights.
You know, something just occurred to me with the whole representation thing. I'm actually surprised they brought back Charlie Cox to play Daredevil and not just hire some blind guy.
I mean, he was only in like that 3-minute fight in the first episode.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
talking about in general. I mean, because you know, they're all about the representation. Why not hire an actual blind guy to be Daredevil?
Yeah, all right.
Well, we all know the answer is because he wouldn't be able to fucking fight. So
ask Deborah Ann Wool's husband. He's already blind and he's got like Chad jaw. Like, he's a good looking dude.
But here we are here. She gets captured, and then you think that this is the moment that they're going to get killed, and then all of a sudden, just conveniently, the bad guy's phone rings, and guess what? He has to let them go because
Kingpin.
Because Kingpin is still alive, and that's
and
kind of
the big
reveal.
And he has to have a cute ringtone, or at least a quote funny one.
Yeah. Not to mention, so listen, that's how literally that whole fight scene ends. Like, they break off, and then because Kingpin doesn't want her to die. Yeah, exactly, right? And then meanwhile, while this is all going on, like, Maya's having like some kind of like supernatural like epileptic attack or some like weird thing where it's like the power of her ancestors is compelling her to such degree that she's like literally having a seizure, like standing up and stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's weird. You may want to go talk to your grandmother to figure out why that's happening.
That guy is like the best character after Biscuit.
Henry?
Like,
Uncle
yeah,
Henry?
I like that guy. Yeah, I liked Uncle Henry.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Was it Graham Greene?
Yeah.
Honestly, he's the best thing in the show. I mean, the grandfather.
This fella here is not terrible. Yeah. And again, Biscuits is okay. I mean, it's like there are some competent people in roles here.
No,
but,
yeah, there absolutely is. Yeah,
I would have said that he was the best character on the show.
I do. Yeah. A lot of the supporting cast was way more interesting than Echo or her story whatsoever. Like, I was more invested in these moments when they were talking about like their family history drama than I was about anything Kingpin related.
Well, here's the thing, and Eddie will appreciate this if he's listening to the show right now. Echo is essentially like, you know, she's like the 5th member of DX. Here's the contrast I'm making here is that she's in the group, but she doesn't really have much of a character. So if you look at her like all the other people like in the group, they're way more entertaining than she is because they have character, they have personality, they have charisma, they have something that
they're
gravitates
also actors.
to her. Yeah, that too, right? But I mean, this is the problem. You're hinging your entire show on a woman who said she can't speak. She can only communicate through signs. She's not a good actor. She's not really a trained actor. You're just throwing her out there, and it's like there's nothing for the audience to actually gravitate towards the actual character of Echo. So when somebody else shows up who has like an ounce of charisma, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this person is great by comparison to this other garbage that I'm working here on this entire show.
So you mean someone who can actually make a facial expression?
Yeah, like you made Echo the worst character in her own show, and that's the problem.
That's what they do.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
So big reveal here towards the end is that Maya realizes, oh, Kingpin's still alive. Even though I shot him in the eye, he's still alive.
Well, and this is my issue too, is that, you know, Kingpin is basically a normal person, right? His superpower is his money for the most part. And in fact, he is super tough and knows how to fight, but essentially his superpower is money. And the fact that they totally cucked him in the Hawkeye show by shooting him. And he has like this like scar. It's like, what did she like clip him across the face and that was it?
Well, remember, if you watch the Hawkeye,
it really had like an angle and it like took out his like bone right here, and that was it. Like, it doesn't look like she was straight on blasting him like she was in the damn episode.
And she's a
Like,
master assassin. Let's just point it out.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing I find so idiotic behind it is that for someone who is a master assassin, there's that joke from that one movie, Two in the Head, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And it had, it was Morgan Freeman, wasn't it? Anyway, I can't remember the freaking movie, but it's like she's a master assassin in the fact that she failed to kill the Kingpin, and the Kingpin's like, Maya, I miss you so much. I know you tried to kill me and all, but I'm totally simping for you, and I want you to come back into the fold. Yeah,
I would have loved Christopher Walken to play Kingpin, by the way.
Yeah,
Jimmy Stewart as Kingpin.
Jimmy Stewart. But it's like, come on, dude. This is the Kingpin. He would be like, bitch, you're going to die. He would show up to fucking strangle her, not to want to come back
trying to do?
Kingpin.
They're trying to recreate on a much smaller scale the same relationship that Thanos had with Gamora. But they're doing it very, very terribly throughout the course. It's like they're trying to recreate that same relationship. It's like, oh yeah, he's a cold-blooded psychopathic killer, but when it comes to this one girl, he just has a very special soft spot with this one girl. And they're trying to show that on the screen, and it's just not working out like at all.
No,
like, yeah,
no, it doesn't make any sense. Like I said, the moment she betrayed him, he would show up to strangle her. That's it. It would be game over, right? And the thing that bothers me is that this could have been done right. And I understand like the whole idea. Okay, she's basically fleeing New York. She goes back to her hometown, basically wanting to make a change and make right. But the thing that doesn't make sense, why go and piss off Kingpin by going and blowing up, putting a bomb in that crate and blowing up that building? It's like, okay, it just shows you what an evil person she actually is, and nobody should feel sympathy. But she's like, okay, I've done all these horrible things. I want to make right with my family and get away from this life. But, and again, this is a bit of a movie cliche, her past catches up with her. So the Kingpin and his men show up to basically kill her. And you have like this whole, kind of like tense thing where, yes, her family's at risk. And yeah, you can say that she did that by showing back up, but you could have had this more interesting story that actually made sense if they did something like that, where she's trying to get away from that life and the life follows her to her town.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, they don't even try to present this as she's trying to get away from her lifestyle and move on to like a new life. It's like she could have just disappeared in Oklahoma altogether and at least for a few years gotten away with it. Like I said, we go back to that second episode where she's blowing up the train. And it's like, oh, okay, now we know exactly like where she is now and stuff like that. It's like the whole concept here just doesn't like make any sense. So jumping over to episode 4 here, and trust me, this won't take long because this is our second filler episode of this 4-episode series. 5-episode series. Is that we start off here?
I see you showed up to try and kill me again. What gave it away?
This is literally the episode. So it starts off with the scene that we all saw in the previews where Maya's trying to get ice cream and this guy for no real reason whatsoever is mocking her because she's deaf. So Kingpin gets out of the car, beats the ever-living crap out of this guy, but of course Maya sees him. So it's like, okay, well, you know exactly who I am now, so all the time to let you into the business. So it's a flashback to
once again how it works.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going back to a flashback now of Maya being I guess Kingpin's right hand woman man thing, whatever it is, and then that's the introduction, right? And then we get right back to where we left off in the last episode. Kingpin is alive. He still thinks that he can have some kind of relationship with Maya. Maya claims that she wants nothing to do with him, but Kingpin is going to let her live for now, right? Because he just loves Maya too much to just get rid of her now, even though he has her completely outnumbered. If he really wanted to, could have just killed her like right there, and she would have been able to do nothing about it at all. But this is just a setup here. So it's like, you tried to kill me. I have this big patch on my eye where you shot me. But it's like we're still gonna give you an opportunity to let you back into the family. Let's let bygones be bygones and come back. And it says she's clearly doesn't want anything to do with him whatsoever. But then again, I mean, it's her action that brought him back to begin with. So I don't know who else do you want to blame here. So
you haven't mentioned the fact that he doesn't need an interpreter anymore because he has the technology to just insert into her eye.
Oh yeah.
and the she can see him sign.
He
without-
literally
we
gave
finally
her
went MCU, baby. We got that MCU tech. Let's go.
he literally gave her Tony Stark technology.
Yes,
so that
that's
she,
what I
that she
mean,
can
yeah.
Except in the stupidest freaking way. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, voice to text is a fucking thing. You didn't need the sign language bullshit going on there.
Yeah.
I mean, just read this, bitch. You know, it's like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. I'm very frustrated at this show. You're getting me to say lots of bad words and
Good.
But
Good.
This
This is why we call it the Ballroom Podcast.
Yeah, seriously.
This show had so much dumb in it. That was one of the dumber things. And by the way, it's not like Kingpin's poor. You know, he could have like commissioned this tech a long time ago, right? And
Instead of killing off her ASL interpreters like every other week because they know too much.
No,
well, the other thing they could have done is implanted her with cyberware, given her a cybernetic leg, and put basically advanced cochlear implants in her head to where she can actually hear.
Yeah, and speak, and then that would be in a much better place. But hey, let's not do any of that. And as far as your
let's not do things that make sense.
As far as your suggestion, Rick, they only had
Not
the one
Marvel, baby.
They only had the one interpreter. They killed her at the end because she knew too much. She was there for the entire training. So that's why they reenacted the moment from Lethal Weapon where they smoked her on a piece of plastic.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, the reason why they wouldn't have done any of that, what I mentioned with the cybernetic implants, is because you can't overcome your disability, right? That's part of the Bible that was created a while back. That the intersectional Bible, when it comes to intersectional storytelling, you can't have somebody desire to overcome their disability.
Like
that was Sound Metal.
Stupid. I know. Yeah, that's so dumb.
Yeah, because those people think that being disabled is like a badge and honor.
Yeah, I know exactly. Like I have no argument against it. And we see it out there. It's just, what more can we say except that that's the dumbest thing possible, right? It's called a disability.
Yeah, but disabilities are like they give you like a higher position in the
I know
victim
their identities now, instead of just because these people don't have identities, they have to use their immutable traits as their identity.
You can't be dead like Spider-Man if your legs work.
No,
so, I mean,
That's the too. Another thing that they didn't get in the show. And like I said, having known several deaf people, I had a really good friend of mine was mostly deaf. He was like, 100% one ear, 90% the other. And so he basically kind of was, very much involved with the deaf community. Deaf people are assholes. They legit think they're better than other people.
Yeah, they do. Like,
and not just from my own personal experience. This is what he told me because he hated other deaf people.
My sister is a speech therapist, and so she also has to do sign language. And her the clients she complains about the most are always the deaf ones because they're always the most like entitled, demanding.
Yes, they are. They are very entitled, demanding.
Yeah, do it my way. Shut the hell up. I don't want to hear from you. Like we're deaf.
Well,
Excuse us. We know what we're doing.
Literally.
Although you and Cider both tagged that.
My experience has been more positive, but then the deaf people that I know to a certain degree are all from church. So I don't know if that helps.
That's only because you don't know
a slanted sample size.
Well,
that's only because you don't know they're calling you Bendeo and sign language.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that in that community too, if you get a cochlear implant, they cannot view it as a betrayal. It's really wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I remember, I know this is not personal evidence, but I remember like that was there are a lot of episodes of like medical TV shows, like dramas and comedies and stuff from the early 2000s where that's a plot point where it's like, oh, yes, you can get your kid an implant. And one of the parents is like, absolutely not. How dare you? I want to be able to communicate like between us. And it's like, and then that's the dilemma is like the parents being a dick because the kid could have a better life. And
I mean, legit, that is an actual thing. Yeah.
No, I think Rob brings up, I think, one of the things that he dislikes about Sound of Metal is that he ultimately rejects the surgery. The main character ultimately rejects the surgery. And I think he's the one that always goes off about that. Too bad he's not here. But no, that's that what you guys are talking about reminded me of that.
Well, that's episode 4 in a nutshell. The only thing that they include in episode 4 is that Maya finally talks to her grandmother and then she explains the origins of the Native American powers that she has.
Quick question about her grandma. Is that actress in a lot of stuff? She looks really familiar.
Yeah,
she was in Killers of the Flower Moon. She was the mother.
She was in that. She was in that.
Okay. Almost half of this
she's
cast.
a prominent Native American actress. Yeah.
I was gonna say almost half of this cast is in Killers of the Flower Moon and in that Reservoir Dogs movies. Like, there's not that many Native American actors out there. Apparently,
No, there really isn't.
There aren't. But yeah, I remember. Like, I like her. I don't know, as an actress. I was like, oh, I know you. That's all. That's all I have to say about her character.
Yep. So now we can go ahead and flip over to the last episode here, episode 5, entitled Maya. And shockingly enough, not that much happens in this episode either. This is the conclusion of this 5 episodes.
I don't know how this was supposed to go 8. I don't know how this was supposed to go 8. It's insane.
Well, the thing is funny about it.
This is the reworked version. Remember, the first version was unreleasable, so they had to reshoot so much of it.
Well, I don't know if
my favorite part is they
chopped it up, but yeah,
they have her defeat
fair point.
not Daredevil. I'm sorry, Kingpin by making him cry.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You did not enjoy the green power of love? I mean, like Huey Lewis was happening right there. It was amazing.
Well,
so stupid.
The funny thing about it, and this is like another trope that we've been seeing. We also saw it in Rebel Moon too, right? Where you have the young girl that can like bring things back to life. That's basically with Maya's mother, where she goes and heals the woodpecker.
Yeah.
You see that.
Oh,
and
thank you for bringing that up. Finish.
She also heals Wilson Fisk's eye, and tries to take his pain away. It makes him cry, and then at that point he has to shuffle off, get into his van, and leave.
And just leave.
Like, yeah.
Okay, so I'm really glad you brought up that bird scene. So for the people in the audience, there is a scene at the very beginning of this episode that's a flashback to when Maya was a little kid, and she's got like a slingshot, and she's looking around. She's in her backyard or whatever, and she sees a woodpecker, and she takes aim, boom, hits it, and goes, "Oh no, I hit it!" And she takes it off to her mom and is like, "Hey, like the bird fell," and then her mom's like, "The bird didn't really fall, did it?" And she's like, "I didn't mean to like hurt it.
I didn't mean to murder it."
Hit it. Yeah, but like, so this to me, that scene, they didn't need to do this because going into the show, I'm already like, all right, we're supposed to sympathize with like this hired assassin killer who really isn't remorseful and doesn't really want to change her ways, but is trying to present herself as a superhero now. Very weird, very odd. And then you get to that moment, and I'm just like, oh, so Maya's just a psychopath, like a genuine, actual, like child harming small animal psychopath. And I was just like, what are we doing?
Remember, she fucking kicked a dude that was beaten the shit out of by Kingpin, and it was a solid kick. It's like, yeah, she's been a little psychopath the entire fucking time. I mean, she's doing the exact same things that serial killers do.
Yeah,
when they go around murdering dogs and cats. I mean, it's like, yeah,
right.
The problem is this moral ambiguity that we've been seeing out of Hollywood and specifically Disney, where these characters that we're supposed to be relating to are really villains. We saw the exact same thing happen in WandaVision with Wanda. And you had fucking what's her name? She's all like, they'll never understand what you sacrificed for them. It's like, bitch, she fucking kidnapped an entire town, had the kids locked up in their bedrooms where they're most likely dead at this point, because God knows how long this has been going on, torturing people, and you're like, oh yeah, she's the fucking superhero.
Yeah, but we needed that so that we could see the mother resurrect the bird.
Yeah.
Right? That's why it was there.
I'm just thinking back to like the last 2 years of these MCU shows. I'm just thinking to myself, how do people not get fired for this? Like, how do people not get fired for screwing up this bad? It's like, think about it like this: the Atlanta Falcons, after another disappointing season, fired their coach at 12:01 after the season ended.
That's easy, Jacob. It's because they have the right ideology. This isn't about their failures of entertainment. This is the ideology that they're trying to push. And therefore, even though it failed because it didn't fly with normies, because they were rejecting the ideology, they did their job.
Fault. Right, like
Yeah.
it was the
It's the audience.
fault.
Why do they constantly blame the audience, calling them istophobes, calling them homophobes, racist, sexist, all these things? You hate women, you hate black people, you hate gay people, you hate trans people. No, we just hate your garbage entertainment. They can't take responsibility. What they have to do is shift the blame. That is the only thing they can do. Look at the whole Moses Ingram thing, where she was harassed online. And yeah, there was a couple of weird Instagram posts. And again, nobody condoned it. But they're trying to say because of those posts that the entire fan base that basically rejects this show is racist. I mean, just look at the shit that they were doing to Gary, where he's actually getting threats on Twitter because he made jokes about the show.
Yep.
That's how fucking unhinged these people are.
Well,
and this is the people that they're trying to cater to, because these people that are basically leveraging death threats against a death threats against a person who didn't like a TV show. That is their audience. That is the people that they're trying to target with the show, not us.
And
Well,
that's
you
something,
have it-
we,
people-
that's
people
something we
call-
really need to talk about.
Yes.
Well, I mean, think about it. These are the same people that say that you're a racist if you object to having a black woman play Anne Boleyn.
Yes.
You need to have a black
or King
Tudor
Jarl or Watson or every other Cleopatra, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
I
that
could
shit
go on.
doesn't work. It doesn't work. You alienate an entire thing. You distort historical figures, and you just prove you're fucking fucktards doing stuff because you have no claim to fame. You have no creativity, and you've actually produced nothing in your life. So you take from better men. Yes, I said it. And you try to take it as your own because you are inferior.
At the same time, going back to the whole Watson thing you just mentioned, there's certain things that you can get away with, right? If you're doing like a modern rendition of something, look at Elementary, where they basically made Watson an Asian female, right? That fucking worked. Nobody complained about it. Why? Because it's a modern interpretation of a classic work put in modern time. Yeah. You can get away with that. Look at the same thing when they did Romeo and Juliet, the modern day version where it took place in modern times, right? Where we have this diverse cast. Nobody fucking complained about it. Why? Because they said it in modern time.
Stage and stuff is also a bigger
the language was a complaint. I remember that being a lot of what people complained about that movie.
The Old English, basically.
The old language.
A lot of people did complain about the fact that they were basically using the original English that Romeo and Juliet was written. I thought it was fine. I thought it was really interesting that they did that.
It was interesting, but it was also hilarious. Like they literally go, "Hand me my longsword," and they pan
and it's a gun that said longsword on it.
Yes, that's like the best thing ever to put to film.
America.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought that was one of the best. I thought that was one of the best ways to remake something. If you were gonna, and look, I mean, you can say what you want about DiCaprio, but that might have been one of the roles that really made him.
Because it certainly is, and it was a really inventive interpretation of a classical work, and you can do things like this. You had I'm trying to remember the name of the character, but it's the black guy that was in Lost, played one of the characters.
Mercutio.
Mercutio. I mean, it's like stuff like that. It doesn't matter. It worked because it was a modern interpretation of a classical work, and it was done in such a way that it didn't try to subvert the audience's expectation. It was literally Romeo and Juliet set in modern times, and it was really well done.
Guys, well, we haven't even gotten to the conclusion of this episode.
I know. Sorry, I keep derailing things, Jacob. My apologies.
For once, not me.
Oh, yeah, and then Rick talks, and then I'm getting angry. So let's go faster.
What did I do to you, Culture? What did I do to you to make you so angry with me?
Apparently you lit his hotel room on fire.
No, that was you. That was you.
So here we have Maya.
Train of thought once.
Maya talking to the Force ghost of her mother here, and then she gets this this battle armor suit that she's wearing. This was to honor all of her ancestors, and she's gonna wear this into the final battle with Kingpin. Now look, I don't mind this. I mean, like I said, if you want to honor like your ancestors and whatnot, it's like okay, that's fine. The problem is not here with the setup to the ending, because as we get here, like I said, there's one big powwow happening at the fairgrounds, and this is where Kingpin and all his goons are going to meet Maya and her family, and there's going to be one big showdown. And
and they're going to blow up innocent civilians with an RPG. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, for no real reason whatsoever. By the way, just this shot here, she's wearing like old ancient like Native American garb, but then she has a gun, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of being like a Native American.
That's not even accurate Native American garb, by the way.
It's not. But you're also missing something about the fact that she's even wearing this costume, right? So not only does she have her own like superhero costume now, but when she got her like her new leg, she had that little discussion where she's like, "Oh, I wanted something more normal," and then the guy's like, "But you're in New York. You have to represent us. You have to let everybody know." And I'm like, okay, but she is supposed to be like an underworld assassin lady. Like, you don't want to go advertising yourself around with a giant like Native American superhero costume. It's so weird. Like they're trying to make a Marvel superhero out of a storyline and a hero that doesn't exist. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but I think you guys know what I mean.
She's trying to make a superhero, but she looks like Tatanka. That's basically like what you're saying.
Honestly,
there.
Tatanka looks better.
Well, I mean, the funny thing too is like if you take a look at Apache Chief's costume, it looked way better than this.
I love Apache Chief. He's an incredible DC character for Justice.
Put it to you this way: they spent $225 million on She-Hulk, and they decided to cut corners with this outfit. So that's just goes to show you where Marvel's liability.
Well, I mean, look at the comic character Warpath. I mean, his costume looked pretty cool, and it basically represented his Native American heritage.
Or look at T-Hawk from Street Fighter 2. Like, he's awesome, right? Like, so just a quick side note, or Nightwolf, right? Exactly, from Mortal Kombat. But to this whole design philosophy, the Tekken director, he was recently he tried, like, a bunch of Western idiots tried to like accuse him of racism over his designs and everything. Yeah, and he basically said, "Shut the hell up, you're all dumb." But then he did like this really long follow-up post where he was talking about, here's the design philosophy that went into these characters. Let me tell you what we were doing. And he kind of explained that a lot of characters in video games or entertainment, stereotypical looking or have stereotypical elements? Yes, but people also, audiences have to remember that, in the days of arcades or the days of newsstands or the days of actual television where you had to dedicate your time, these people had to communicate in 30 seconds, in 5 seconds, what these characters are, who they are, bring you into it. So that you could make a Native American character like everybody in the show who wears normal clothes and just hangs out in t-shirts and jeans, but nobody's going to know that they're Native American if they don't pay attention to your long narrative. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's
the other thing too is that this is supposed to take place in
have these like stereotypical looks.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that because it takes place in Oklahoma, the Native Americans got around, and you'd be surprised that there's a lot of white Native Americans in Oklahoma. So it's like unless you really talk to somebody, you're probably not going to know this. But I just remember the first. I mean, it was a while back, but there's like this one guy. It was like a commercial for like one of the some sort of heritage thing that was going on, and it's a white dude. And it's because he does have Native American heritage, and there is a lot of white people that have Native American heritage as well.
Is that
it's almost like that.
But the thing is, you would never know unless you talk to them.
It's almost like that Chiefs fan from like a few months ago where everyone was calling them racist because the kid was wearing like black and white face paint, and they come to find out he actually was Native American.
Native American.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about this though?
Go ahead.
Scene right here. Is this happening in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Why the hell is Kingpin in Oklahoma?
Because that's where Maya is.
Yeah, but why? Why is he leaving New York?
Maya, I'm a sim for you, Maya. I want you to come back to New York and take control of my empire. Literally, that's what happens. He shows up because he wants her. He wants her to kill him with the hammer that he killed his father with.
Which they recast. It's not even the same hammer. This is how bad Marvel's continuity is. This is a ball peen hammer in Echo. In Daredevil proper, it's a normal like forked hammer. It's so it's a little thing, but are you kidding? Yeah, claw hammer. Thank you.
Yes,
like
that
it's so.
No,
if you're gonna like highlight something and be like, "This is a big mystical item," keep it consistent.
This murder hammer has been in our family for generations.
Yeah.
It's literally what he says.
He wants her.
There.
He wants her to come back to New York and take over his empire. So when she says that she wants to be the queen or the queen pin, like legit, he is handing his empire over to her, which is dumb. Fisk would never do that.
Yes,
right.
That is why he's there, and I think he actually hits his head on the plane when she does not show up. Like he screams and just slams himself against.
He has a temper tantrum.
Yes, legit has a temper tantrum.
Yes. We're not making any of this upsider.
So, like I said, this whole show is culminating to this one moment here. So you think there's going to be some kind of epic battle between Maya and Kingpin. That's not exactly what happens. They get into a little kerfuffle here, and she resurrects the spirit of all of her ancient ancestors into one room.
She is all the Jedi, damn it. She gives everybody the power of Thor.
Look how awkward she looks compared to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was just pregnant.
Shit just looks weird.
She was just pregnant. She is puffy.
They did her such a
looks
disservice.
like she's like this. Like, where's your neck?
Like I brought this up on Bounding a couple times, but it's such a disservice what they did to this actress, to Alaqua Cox, or how
she's not an actress. I mean,
well, yes, fair.
Call her for what she is. She is a checkbox, a giant checkbox.
I feel kind of bad for what they did to this checkbox, because in Echo, in every like whatever direction they gave her, it's like look sad and frumpy, and you even said it like earlier, like nobody, like she looks unappealing, like nobody wants to hang out with her. But I've looked at regular pictures of her, and she's like a gorgeous woman. Like she looks like she has emotion, like she's like alive, and it's just like, wow, thanks Disney.
Yeah, she has a permanent scowl throughout the entire.
Well, it's the same thing that we've seen with the majority of Marvel's female heroes,
1000%.
right? They are just as planks of wood. And it's like, at least with Kate Bishop, they made her charming, right? I mean,
they did.
That was like a first where it's like, oh, she's actually a human being, and she's kind of nice and charming, and I kind of like this character.
That might be why Kamala Khan has something of a fan base. She actually has something of a personality.
No, she doesn't have a fan base either. Let's be very, very
well. Iman Vellani has a fan base.
Yeah, Iman Vellani, I think probably does, but
I'm in that camp.
Well, and she, again, she's another charming actress, right? I think that. When I was talking about the Marvels, it's like she's one of the most annoying and yet endearing characters in that movie, right? Because
at least she has 100%.
Because if done right, she could be a fun, interesting character. If done right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So here's the best part of this whole series, real quick. So during this fight with the power of her ancestor, she finally unlocks the superpower that we still don't really know what she has or not, because it wasn't very clear how this whole thing works.
Well,
by doing this,
they basically go like, okay, so in every episode when they show the ancestor using her power, it always seems like they're doing something with it. Like the chick in the stickball game, she had athleticism. The sharpshooter had like sharpshooter abilities and stuff, like eyesight. But then when we get here, they sort of like recap like what all of her powers mean, and it's not even that she gets powers. She gets like emotional resonance. Like this is courage, and this is like tenacity, this is stuff like that.
Strategy, ferocity, and love.
Right, like that's what I'm talking about. Like that's not a superpower.
Love.
That's not a superpower. That's like, I don't know. That's Josh Allen of the Bills, right? Like that's not a superpower.
Well, a lot of it in a weird sort of way is this weird kind of affirmation that they've written into all their shows. Yeah, and she walks up and lays hands on Fisk here, and he's all like, "Oh, is he coming? Maya, what's going on, Maya? Why are you trying to?"
So she uses she uses the power of Native American hocus pocus to take him to the sunken place where he has a temper tantrum in a gray room for a while. He's screaming while like the whole place is like caving in on himself. And he's like, "Oh, let me go!" And then she basically like flashbacks like all the bad things that he's done, at least in her presence. Because I'm pretty sure that she's done like far worse than this. And then literally, and I'm not even making this up now, they snap back to reality here, unironically, and he's screaming to her, "What did you do? What did you do?" And the very next scene, he gets in his car and he drives the fuck off, and that's the end of the show.
Yes.
Did she make his dick go inside?
You also left out where she made him cry and run away.
Yeah.
Jacob, you left off the part where her powers they didn't go to her. They went to her cousin and her grandmother, and they could beat up on the goons that were part of this thing. All right.
Well, and the funny thing too, because this is not the first time they've done this, right? They've done this a couple times where they have like this weird kind of power sharing. Because you saw this also in Thor: Love and Thunder, where Thor shares his power with all the kids, and it's like this weird.
Would have been nice for the Avengers to have that.
It's like this really weird thing where the superhero has to share his powers with everybody.
Yeah, because
it's not the Spider-Verse problem. Because everybody should be the hero, not just one person. Nobody can be special. Everybody has to be special.
Super.
Right?
Okay.
Wow. Yes, exactly. Got me.
I kind of realized where I started seeing this. It was the Last Jedi, when you had the whole thing with the kid, and he uses the Force to get the broom. So that's really where you kind of see this thing. It's like everybody has the power, and it goes back to what you're saying. The idea is that they want everyone to be special and have the power, but the issue is that when everyone's special, nobody's special.
Hey, by the way, I just wanted to show you this because I'm not making an exaggeration when I says that he literally says, "What did you do?" in a cut scene. I'm going to play a few seconds of it, but you'll see it just right here. Like, that's it. He's like, "What did you do?" He's like, "Get me out of here!" And then he drives off, and then that's how the conflict ends. He just drives away, goes back to New York.
The other thing too is that you have the incident where you have the guy with the rocket launcher. You have these 2 trucks full of guys with guns, and for whatever reason they show up this powwow to just murder innocent civilians, right? And you have the guy with the rocket launcher, and he's going to shoot it into the crowd, and then the uncle shows up with the gun. And he's like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm beaten now." And he shoots the guy rather than firing the fucking rocket. And then you have Cousin Biscuits hop into his monster truck and basically run over the vans full of white people who basically just sit inside when they see it coming, right? It's not like, "Oh shit, there's a guy with a truck, get out."
And they could have
start mayhem.
And they could have resolved the situation if they had actually enforced the rules and towed that big vehicle out of the area that it was not supposed to be there. Like Biscuit was saying, you cannot go into this area, but he's like, "No, I'm going to go anyway." And he goes in and it's like, "Biscuit, oh, well, where's Grandma?" It's like, "No, you couldn't remove it."
The whole joke is that nobody respects Biscuit. That's the joke.
Yeah.
There's another thing too that happens is that, and they hide it, but what Biscuits is screaming out when he runs over the vans is, "Not today, Whitey." But he's saying it in Native American. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I completely missed that part too.
Didn't need that. Like,
yeah, well, no, he was saying
they're criminals.
It was some word, but basically, and Tonks is the one who told me this because he's the one who's actually Choctaw, and he's like, they're saying, "Not today, Whitey."
Well, there's no coincidence that all the bad people on here are white, so I think that was kind of the correlation here. But then this is how we end the whole 5-episode series here. We literally do a Fast and Furious scene with our family and the cookout at the end of every single Fast and Furious movie is Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez sitting there getting Coronas.
It's She-Hulk. This is literally how they ended She-Hulk. With the damn cookout with She-Hulk's family and Daredevil and Scar and Hulk.
This is just how we're going to end every movie now. Every movie.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, can we end it any other way, guys?
Guys, you think there's going to be a season 2?
Well,
remember
Shawarma? They teased it. Didn't they tease a little bit where we're thinking that Kingpin might run for president and be the new Trump?
Mayor. I think that's going to be more of like.
Was that a post-credit scene? Because I once it ended, I fucking stopped. Yeah, I didn't bother.
That was a post credit.
Which, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense because here's the thing: if Kingpin is now like scared and like repentant, right, and he sees this ad and he's like, "Oh, I should run for mayor." A repentant Kingpin isn't going to be like a threat as a mayor. That's going to be like a good guy Kingpin, right? So, what are you going to do if you want him to be a threat still? Like, I don't know what the hell they're doing here.
Didn't they already do this in like Daredevil season 3, where they tried to make him like a Trump allegory or something like that?
Well, it's because
not in the show, because that was way before Trump.
But no, in the
season 3, Trump was president.
In the
Was
post,
yeah, he was. You're right.
in the post credit,
really?
it says that
What
the
year
voters
is it?
they want a fighter, a bare knuckle brawler, and that's what.
Oh, it was.
Fisk,
wow, I
yeah.
didn't even realize
And
that.
Fisk
Yeah, it's
was
2018.
getting interested.
Yeah,
Like,
dude,
and so,
time.
oh, there you go. You know, he could be that fighter, that bare knuckle brawler, and that's what voters want. So apparently, in Iowa, so.
Chrissy Mayer was correct when she called him diabetic Lex Luthor last week.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And
Full
yeah,
circle.
that was Echo. So all I can say is that it's better than She-Hulk? Question mark?
Oh,
And that's about the biggest glowing endorsement I can give to
Yeah.
this show existed. Look, let's be very, very clear here. This is a show that did not need to exist on any level whatsoever.
Okay. I'll be honest with you, man. I like She-Hulk more than this show.
I can't co-sign that.
And you understand when I mean by I like it more, it's like there was a lot more to mock and make fun of with She-Hulk. I mean, like, unironically, I want them to make a season 2 just so I can laugh and make fun of it. This show, for the most part, was more boring than it was cringy. It's like, yeah, you definitely have these cringy moments, but overall, it's like, I'm like this, looking at my watch. I'm like this on my keyboard, doing something else while it's playing over here. And that's partially why I missed a lot of stuff, because this show could not capture my attention. At least with Velma and She-Hulk, they had my undivided attention. Why? Because it was ironically funny because of how bad and over the top and stereotypical and retarded it was. You didn't have a moment where She-Hulk was lecturing the Hulk about anger. Okay. It's like, that was some like creme de la creme intersectional nonsense that was absolutely hilarious to watch. This show, nothing.
Well, while that may be true, we're more likely to get a second season of this than we are of She-Hulk.
She-Hulk, I know, which makes me very sad.
I was very sad today. We were reporting that today on the HCast, and I was crying because I'm like, I wanted to make money on YouTube, and now I'm not going to be able to make money at YouTube.
Yeah.
You were crying like Kingpin was.
Yes.
When he healed.
You have to understand, I mean, pretty much at this point, the only reason why I want this stuff to exist is to grift off of it. Yeah. Because the worse and more retarded and over the top and intersectional it is, the more we can mock it, make fun of it, and point and laugh at it and have a good time. Where this show, like I said, it's like it was boring. The most cringy part was the last episode and maybe some stuff in the first episode. And that was it. It was a fucking giant nothing burger.
Yeah. I will say this as someone who reviewed She-Hulk last year for Bounding, and Spencer can attest to this. I'm good with not having to see another She-Hulk episode again. I think we've had our quota.
I don't know if Jacob and I can handle it.
You didn't feel represented by Megan Thee Stallion?
No.
And
I
do this shit that talks all the time. I was like, what? Because I made Talks of Manfully watch this, and I'm like getting these angry texts for him. I was like, what? You didn't feel represented, Talks?
Dude, what was those texts that were coming to all of us in the group there? I was laughing because I had finished the piece of shit, and y'all were still watching it, and I'm losing it, right? You know, I'm watching Gary lose his mind because he's doing a live watch with a live stream of episode 5, and I was dying. So between you and Tox and Gary, I was like, this is just bonkers bad. So, and then I recorded my review, and then I went to bed. And it's history after that.
Echo, I think, is being billed as a miniseries, so I don't think we'll be getting a season 2.
Oh.
Well, so here's the thing.
Darn.
Like, this isn't the first or last terrible Disney Plus show.
No.
They've all been bad. They're increasingly getting worse because Disney will not admit that they're hiring unqualified people to write and direct these shows.
Breaking news. News. Not news. Ironheart is going to show up sometime around October of 2025.
That means that they're reshooting the entire series. That's what it means. Because that series was literally shot last summer.
Yeah.
If they're pushing it to 2025 October, that means they're reshooting the entire thing.
Oh, great! I'm gonna have to hold on to Disney Plus for more than a year now.
This is exactly what I'm talking about because they reshot most of Echo because it was terrible. They're reshooting Ironheart because it's terrible. They're reshooting Daredevil because it's terrible. When are they going to start figuring it out?
Captain America 3
because it's terrible.
Because it's terrible.
Well, they gotta redo
Thunderbolts. 4. Captain America 4. Sorry, not 3.
Yeah, Daredevil Born Again, which is like they're still trying to unfuck right now. Yeah. All kinds of other things are being
well, okay. Here's the issue, guys.
Well, what happened to the Kang Dynasty?
It doesn't matter how many times they go and reshoot shit. It's not going to change anything because the same people who are making these bad decisions are still in charge. So they're going to continue to make these bad decisions. It doesn't matter how many times they change something or try and reshoot something. It's the same retards making the exact retarded decisions.
Yeah, these are the people making these shows are the ones that are on TikTok yelling at their phone about all the privilege around them.
Yeah.
It's essentially like the New York Jets trying to win a game with Zach Wilson, and they keep doing it over and over again. And
that's a sports ball analogy. I have no idea what that means.
or like Jerry Jones trying to have the Cowboys get a playoff win.
Yeah, just like that.
I can't remember the last time that's happened, to be honest.
Perfect passer rating.
In the 90s.
It's 95, so yeah, that's the long time.
So.
Go ahead.
One of the things that always strikes me about these DEI heavy projects where they really lean into the whole DEI thing is that it only satisfies whites on Twitter. I don't.
Yes. Well, white leftists.
They're typically women. Yeah, 50-year-old plus white women that are left.
Yeah, I would even say 50-year-old white women. I would say that it's basically leftist women.
No.
Right.
That they're trying to appeal to.
It's all age. Like it's young kids, it's teenagers, it's
that may be
terminally Tumblr online.
Right, but and all that may be true, but it's predominantly 50 plus white women of super Marxist, neo-fascist tendencies. And
I think you're aiming too high. I think they're more in the 30 range. I think they're in the 30-year-old. They're in like our generation.
She-Hulk was basically a show that was made by 30-year-olds. I should say by single 30-year-old women for single 30-year-old women.
Well,
here's the catch.
That's the cheap box wine crowd that on the days they're not going to the bar trying to get free drinks or loading up on the Chardonnay from like Hills Brothers or some shit.
Now on paper, that concept for She-Hulk makes a lot of sense, right? We're just going to do Sex in the City, but with superheroes. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love it.
It's not so much Sex in the City as much as it was like what was that show from the like 90s?
Skank in the City.
Single female.
No. Single female lawyer.
Wearing sexy mini skirts.
Yeah.
Ally
McBeal. Thank you.
So again,
it
they wanted it. That's how they advertised it and tried to be, but they don't know how to be that creative.
Well,
so it
there were no lawyers.
See, here's the thing. Let's say that they slam dunk that. The problem is the story centers around a 7-foot-tall, muscular green woman, and that in no way is anything a woman wants to envision herself as. There's not a woman alive that wants to be a 7-foot-tall ogre woman. Okay, so that you gotta understand how women.
Well, if there are, call me. I'm in.
I'm colorblind.
The issue here,
those thighs.
Yeah. The issue here is that the character of Jen Walter was really insecure, and when she turned into She-Hulk. Basically, she was more empowered, bold, sexy, all these things that Jen Walters is not. And they basically kind of stripped that from that character.
They had to.
So,
the thing is that this is what I'm getting at, is that this like She-Hulk Echo has no audience. It's meant to empower women. It's meant to feature women in leadership roles, in power roles, and in conqueror roles. but these are not things that your average single female lady wants to see herself as.
Yeah.
Black Widow was popular in the Iron Man 2 movie, not in anything afterwards. You want to know why? Scarlett Johansson was very much on display in that movie. There were two lovely melons that followed her all the way through to the credits. And so a lot of women really liked that, but they didn't like it that she was beating up the security guards. They liked how sexy she looked in in this cat suit with the long red hair going everywhere.
Right. Well, and a lot of guys like that too. A lot of the thing what they're trying to do is you mentioned that the whole thing with they want them to be conquerors and all these things. The funny thing about it is that feminists really do eat this up, despite the fact they do not want to be like that 100%, because a lot of it too is just look at any situation where danger is involved. What's going to happen? They're going to immediately step behind a man. Let's be honest with you. Again, hashtag not all. There's definitely some very tough ladies out there that can handle themselves. But overall, if somebody breaks into my house, my wife is not going to go run and grab my gun. She's gonna say, well, go check it out. She's gonna look to me to go take care of it. So all these feminist power fantasies are just that. They are massive fantasies. And in reality, when the shit hits the fan, they are not the one who's going to be going around kicking the ass of these guys. They're going to be hiding behind men. And by no means am I saying this to be offensive, but that's just the fucking reality. It goes back to the whole thing. Who changes a feminist tire? A man.
Who jumps?
Because reality is offensive now. This is 2024. Reality.
I don't give a shit. I'll be honest with you. I don't give a shit if I'm offending people. I really don't. Because I'm kind of had enough of this nonsense.
Not very empathetic.
I'm not empathetic. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not. I'm not a horribly empathetic human being, right? I mean, I have empathy to a point, but I'm not very empathetic. I really not. And it's like I try to be relatable and empathetic to people, but the thing is, I've gotten to the point where I just don't give a fuck anymore. Maybe it's the fact I just turned 50. I don't know. Maybe it's that gene that kicked in. But but there's so much shit. It's like, dude, these are you fucking made the bed, lie in it now.
Yeah.
That's what I want. It's the reason why I went off on my MLK rant on Monday. It's like, if you want identity politics and you want to judge people by the color of their skin, not the content of their character, we don't need to have MLK's birthday. We don't need to celebrate it anymore, because this is what you want. You want inequity, so let's give them inequity.
But I want a day off work.
I think Vince McMahon sums this up very, very distinctly here.
Life sucks, and then you die.
Yes.
So there's two things that happen here that with men and women, okay? And I want to make this really quick because culture's tired. So the whole situation with this is that the reason why a lot of people feel insulted by these stories is because two things: men protect, women preserve.
Yes.
When I started writing comics about this, I created a female lead, my female Superman, if you will. And I had to understand that you can't insult people's expectations out of a woman. You can make her fight, you can make her pursue justice, you can make her dutiful, but she has to go through a different path to arrive there, a much more spiritual transcendence.
Right.
The hero's arc is a circle. The heroine's arc is a figure eight. Women have to transcend into the spiritual and make peace with the idea of causing violence to carry out what they want to happen. Then they transcend back up into the hero's arc and move into the supreme form of themselves as they return to the new normal. And Ray tried that a little bit with Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson tried a little bit to do that, but he failed so hard.
Cider, what step is twerking in that figure eight?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, is that this is the problem that they're making, is that they want their cake and eat it too. Typically, women who are in leadership roles, power roles, do not broadcast their sexuality. Like the ones that are actually good at their job do not broadcast their sexuality whatsoever.
You're correct.
Carly Fiorina. The only way you knew she was a lady was because she looked like a lady and she dressed like a lady. Everything else about her was she was like blow for blow with Trump. She, I liked her in the beginning until I found out she ran HP into the ground. And that's the kind of thing that they're missing with this. is that it insults the expectations of the audience. When you see a woman in power, she shouldn't be a hoe. She should be someone that meets men on their level. That's why she's a threat to them. Like that lady in Iron Fist there, where she was the one that the old sci-fi lady played.
Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. She was a significant threat because she wasn't her sex. She was power. That's what made her a threat in that spirit.
But nowadays, Cider, being a hoe is empowering. That's
No,
the way I
no,
understand
it
it.
That's what they're trying to
sell. Slut,
Yes,
and as Comics was talking about last night, and Rick, I'm sure you'll agree, we need to bring shame back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the other thing too, it's like one of my favorite characters is Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, and it's because yes, you have this woman, and she's flawed in her own ways, and a lot of it has to do with around her identity as being a human, right? For the most part, the majority of her body, with the exception of part of her, her brain and part of her spinal cord, is basically that's the only thing that's left of her being human. So you do have this like bit of identity crisis, and she does come off as a bit of a cold bitch at times, but there's a reason behind it. And it's not just to like put men in their place. It's because of the fact that, she is a person that like since the age of 5 has been in a prosthetic body. And there's like this whole kind of dynamic of, okay, when the majority of your body is machine, are you still human? So there's that conflict of identity of, am I a machine? Am I a human? Then you have these other machines out there. Are they becoming human? These AIs, because are they becoming self-aware? And there's this very interesting aspect to the character as a result of that. And you could say that she's a bit OP, but at the same time, this is a person who is at the height of their career. And this is like one of my biggest complaints when it comes to storytelling. It's like you have like the new guy, Luke Skywalker, going on the hero's journey, but then you can have another character that doesn't necessarily need to go on that hero's journey because they've already gone on it and they're at the peak of their career. This is like my same complaint about the Boba Fett show. They basically made him a complete idiot. This is a guy who should be at the height of his career, having to face a new challenge. And that's the way you can tell a story like that with somebody who's not going on the hero's journey. You introduce a new threat, somebody that is more powerful than they are, maybe more cunning, and they have to figure out how to adapt and overcome that new threat.
Yep, but Comics, that makes sense, and that has a grounding in reality, and none of that's possible with Echo.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense, which is the reason why it has to go.
Yeah, because you can't make money off the Native American stuff. So go ahead, culture, and then we'll wrap things up here.
I'm tired.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll shut up now because I'll just keep talking.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, no, women are life givers. Men are life takers. That's a dialogue from episode 3.
That's an actual line from the Echo show.
Wow.
Yeah,
I want to say that's actually part of Native American culture too.
It is, and that was the only base thing that showed up in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to sum up everything we've talked about here, this is my review of Echo.
What the fuck? What the fuck? You're a
Yeah, so
yeah, that's a good summation of it.
Yeah. All right, well, that was ECHOMANIA, ladies and gentlemen. All 5 episodes of a series that didn't need to exist, and I'm questioning whether I should spend the next 7 months hyping up Ironheart and do Ironheart later on in the year.
Hey, I will be here
It's
for
gonna
that.
be way better.
I do want to let the audience know that at this point in time, you have suffered 2.5 hours in an entirely different way than we did to watch all 5 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kirk on Rumble said that this podcast is better than the actual show. So I mean, I think
that's
a starting point and an actual conclusion.
Okay, I gotta ask you, where'd you get that "what the fuck" clip? I gotta find that. That's great.
Oh, that's from Tim Robinson's show on Netflix. I think you should leave. It's absolutely hilarious. I think it just won an Emmy too, and it absolutely deserves it.
Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
And nobody watched it. By the way, there was not the show, but the Emmys. They had a record low again.
Oh no!
Shocker.
Yeah, I'm reporting that tomorrow on the 6 Minute Daily. One of the many stories that'll appear tomorrow on my show.
I'm sure ratings for the Emmys will go up once Echo wins more Emmys than Better Call Saul. So there you go.
Better Call Saul lost for the 56th consecutive time in their very last season.
Joins The Wire. Yeah.
Yes.
Best show on TV wins Nothing.
You know why, right? Straight white male.
Yep.
Dirty white
I'll
boy.
do it.
Well, explain the wire then, because
That was when the Emmys were racist.
I'm just gonna go with racism.
Wait a minute. I thought that was the Golden Globes, and I'm not talking about Scarlett Johansson
or Selma Hayek or anyone else that joke would
No,
apply
those are
to.
not golden.
Right.
Those are like bronze orbs.
That's Madame Pinot. How many times do I have to tell you, Jacob?
Oh,
Madame
by the way,
Pinot.
yeah, and she happens to be married to the scumbag, creepy, probably fan of the playground dude that runs Balenciaga.
Who just bought CAA, which is now the biggest agency in Hollywood today for $7 billion. So
He probably just dug that out of his couch.
Well, we're going to go ahead and sign off here. So, Rick, I'm going to start off of you. Where can people find you if they want more of you? I don't know why they want more of you, but they can find you.
People always want more of this. People will always want more of this, especially if and when I actually get on YouTube. They can find me at Rick's Texan Reviews. Hopefully, we'll get the Online Film Critics Society nominations announced pretty soon, and I will continue to review all 5 Echo episodes. I suffer too much. That's all I can say.
All right, Cider, what did you got? Our good buddy, old pal.
Tomorrow night, there's the 01 stream over on Bounding into Comics. Undoubtedly, Echo will come up, as well as the recent indefinite hiatus of the Ray movie, right? That's coming out. No, it's not. Anyway, I'm high and I'm tired. So, yeah, and check out the Dank stream whenever John Della Rose isn't dying. So,
which is almost every day.
Right now, he's got like COVID too.
That's super COVID.
Yeah, it's not disease X, it's COVID 2.
Is it the one with the 100% kill rate in rats?
No, that's disease X.
And
this is just COVID 2.
And that one's coming to you from China Direct.
I mean, it's the Bay Area.
Thanks,
so
Alibaba.
It's the Bay Area, so you should be happy it's not monkeypox. So
right. I mean, I live in Maine. Like, it's probably not going to make its way up here.
No, not in that weather. Spencer, what do you got coming up?
Obviously, yeah, you can join us tomorrow. I knew it was coming. It's been too long.
It's been a while.
I know. I had a feeling. I was like, I don't even know if I should say anything because I know what's going to happen. No, obviously, yeah. Join me and Jacob and Cider tomorrow over at Bounding into Comics on the 01 stream, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And then if you want more of me, I host a live stream every Friday on my own channel at 5 p.m. Pacific time, where we dive into the week's weeby topics like video games, anime, tokusatsu. So if that floats your boat, come join me over there. And then, yeah, as always, follow everybody else here because they've got a lot more going on than I do.
All right, let's jump over to our good buddy Comics Division here. How did you like your first experience on the Barroom podcast?
It was good. Not sure how I feel about. No, I'm kidding. Hi, everyone. I'm Comics Division, and I'm functionally retarded.
I agree.
I'm also releasing a video tomorrow at 7 p.m. a.m. 7 p.m. a.m. 7 a.m. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
In the morning.
Retarded? So I know you're not retarded, but what are you, Down syndrome?
Wow.
Yes. The answer is definitely yes. No, but seriously, yeah, I'm releasing a video at 7 a.m. Talking about the whole thing with the Ray movie, whether it's been canceled or not. And yeah, I'm not going to make any comments because I want people to actually watch it. So
yeah.
And I have to tell you, I've previewed the video and it is lovely.
Oh, thank you.
One can only hope that Star Wars movie never comes out, but maybe
Star Wars.
Why? I mean, like I said, the way I look at it is that we make money either way, right? Whether it doesn't come out, whether it does come out, I would like for it to come out because we can grift on it. But at the same time, if it doesn't, we can grift on that too. We win either way.
Yeah. Well,
right.
speaking of Senior Grifty over here,
Let's
Culture
grift
Casino.
again like we did last year. Thank you, Disney. Look, I have to tell you that Dismal Disney is good business for YouTube, kids. If you're not leaning into it, you're making a mistake. Oh, my. Thanks for having me on the show. I had a good time. I am really pumped for ECHOMANIA, and I feel like, it's going to take me at least 4 or 5 minutes to fall asleep tonight. So thanks.
Good luck.
Need all that hype to wear off.
Hey, wait. I didn't get to promote. Go check out my shows and my videos because I do them too. I'm at
whose fault was that?
I don't know. I was having fun and then I forgot. So. But we've officially surpassed the entire runtime of Echo at this point.
Yes.
For the show.
Actually, I think we might still be under. That's how bad that series was.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 45 minutes each episode, so it should be closer to like 4 hours.
Total runtime.
Yeah.
So
each episode is 45 minutes.
Letting you know what I got coming up here. Friday night, we're going to be doing the Friday Night Movie Club. Myself, hopefully Rob, Sider, a few other guys be back here. We're going to be watching 1976 film Car Wash, the old school original Car Wash with Richard Pryor and so many other great comedians and actors who you've certainly seen in plenty of other movies before. We're watching that film on Friday night on YouTube, Rumble, and on X. I'm just going to call it X now because that's what everyone else calls it.
No!
Just call it Twitter like everybody else.
I mean, they still call it Twitter.
The real Civil War starts now.
Monday night, last night, Rick actually joined us on the Bible Lens podcast, and it was actually a very good discussion. We talked about the Book of Clarence movie. This week on the Bible Lens, on next Monday, we're going to talk about anti-Semitism rising within the church. So we're going to talk about that very important topic on Monday night. So that'll be a good show. Then we'll go back to our normal format, episode 83. We'll talk about the big stories of the week. It's actually kind of great that it fell on this weekend because it was kind of a slow week, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. So yeah, all the time, spend more time talking about Echo, and it's all about Echo. So everyone who joined us here on Rumble, on YouTube, and on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, thank you guys for joining us here tonight. Everyone who joined us here on the show, giving you guys our Tuesday night to talk about terrible Disney Plus shows. We want to thank you guys. We're going to go ahead and hit the outro here. I'm sure Culture has seen this outro before. I don't think that Ian has seen it here. So we're going to have sweet outro and get the hell on here. Adios, goodbye, wave to the crowd. We're out.
Take it easy.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out! You get the hell out!
Never mind who you thought I was. I'm Rick James, bitch.